Hello. Sorry, it took me a few moments. Welcome. We've got a hell of a show for you because we're going to be looking at the Wolf. We're going to be looking at we're going to do a reaction, which I don't do too often. We always watch them, but I'm going to do a full reaction recording and post it up. And we're going to do a look at the roadmap roundup. I don't know if we'll do a recording for the roadmap roundup. I'll try to at least. I think it's probably a good idea. Let's turn on the camera. Right. Welcome, everybody. So I'm going to address something really quickly because I've been hearing this a lot. People have been saying that the audio in the background is too loud when it comes to the recordings. So what I'm going to do is, going forward, I'm probably going to turn off the audio and then just add it in post. Because to me, I can barely hear this. We turn on the YouTube so I can hear. Twitch. We turn on the YouTube so I can hear. Twitch. We turn on the YouTube so I can hear. You can't really hear me when I turn my head at all, can you? Push down a little bit further. All right. Like... There we go. Hopefully you can still hear me a little bit better. 4.3 equals a nothing burger. I mean, yeah, we knew that. It's Onyx is really what it is. Hey, McCabe. Music seems fine. I'm here for the L-21 Corsair. I mean Wolf. Sorry, I keep saying a Corsair wing under the Wolf. Okay. We decided to get home and finally try out the Onyx facilities and see what else is coming from those locations, since it's just the first part. I thought they released it because, like, I recently pulled up, before I went live, I pulled up the Star Citizen to download the new patch, and it's not out, at least on my end. It's still 4.2.1. Maybe they're just on the process of releasing it. Just a launcher update? Okay. Yeah, by the way, those you don't know, you can sign in with Google or with Twitch now. And a lot of people are like, this is awful. I'm like, there's a reason why you're signing in with Twitch. I can almost guarantee you the reason why they're signing in for Twitch is because CIG wants to do Twitch drops in the near future. So sad the Wolf won't fit in the Carrack. How many things do? Did the Gladius fit in the Carrack? It's not out. Yeah. Apparently the Wolf is breaking things in PTU, hence the delay. Oh no, it's not just breaking things. It's straight up broken things. Like, it is an absolute shit show from what I've seen. The reports are like, it basically breaks the whole game. So the plan is to do 3 things, and I'm going to try to keep this as tight as possible because I also want to go to bed at a reasonable time. And I still don't have a lot of work at work because pretty much I've got everything ready to go because I've been teaching the same subject for a while. There's no real changes to the subject matter. But I'm still stuck because they haven't gotten all of my classes populated properly yet. So I'm just sort of doing nothing at work. So I'm hoping that if I can get everything, do things pretty well, I can manage to get some work in with the next lore video. So we'll see. I don't know why everyone hates that fin. It looks a little goofy, but like it's fine. I get what they were trying to do. Yeah, so I'm going to pull it up on ships, roundup. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is look at, why don't we do the behind the ships because that came out first.
I would describe Krueger as beautiful, bold, and elegant, not afraid to make a statement.
Unlike Origin, Krueger ships have a certain retro feel to them, but still feel upmarket. The L-21 is a light fighter designed to be fast, agile, and nimble. The trade-off is that you have to take extra care when getting into battle. You can't take the hits, you have to avoid them.
When I first saw the concept, I thought this is really amazing and I can't wait to work on it. It looks also very challenging because of the swooping shapes and the difficult surfaces.
Instead of kind of having layered surfaces like a lot of other Star Citizen ships have, the surfaces are very clean, very smooth.
The direction for the ship was to make it sleek, aerodynamic and aggressive.
The exterior of the ship has the silhouette of a Spitfire, but it looks a lot more resto modern and futuristic.
We definitely looked at a lot of World War II aircraft, and that's kind of where the influence came from. The tail is shorter, so it has this very aggressive, nose pointing upward stance when it's landed.
It kind of feels like...
That's clearly inspired by the P-51, for sure. I mean, like, literally the Merlin is called the P-51, or it's called the P-52. So it's like, yeah. But I also get the reason why they have the tail, because it looks like a boat.
Like an animal waiting to pounce.
And that's why she's called the Wolf.
The engine assaults on the wings, I think, create a very nice silhouette, especially from the top. I'm also very, very happy with the font language that we managed to do on it. We decided to expose a lot of...
Want to make it look like the Spitfire? I mean, a lot of those planes, I think both the Spitfire and the Mustang had the same engine, if I remember correctly. Did they use Rolls-Royce? Like the Merlin engine? Wasn't what they both used them? But So yeah, so that's why they look similar, because they have the same fucking engine attached to them. So there's only so ways you can build that engine and stick it into a hole. So yeah, they're very similar. It just, I think the Mustang has a little bit more of that because it was chrome. There's a lot more chrome Mustangs compared to the Spitfires, but yeah.
Rebling, we decided to expose a lot of the engine itself.
It's primarily pipes. The heat travels down it, and it really promotes how strong that the ship actually is. It highlights the grace of the ship.
The vehicle has 2 size-full Gatlins that can gimbal 5 degrees in all directions. You have 4 missiles in the left wing, and you have 4 missiles in the right wing.
I'm very happy with the deploy animation of the weapons. That's something that not really any other ship does to this extent, where we have the weapons completely hidden in the fuselage, which creates a very, very smooth package.
The answer is that tip up, because a lot of planes of that time didn't have forward-facing landing gear. They had 2 landing gear on the wings, and then they had 1 on the back. Especially fighter aircraft had that. That was the standard model. And I think the reason why, this is just a pull out of my ass guess, is that because of propellers, they had to tip backwards so that the propellers could spin up, and then when they, to get enough clearance for the propellers to spin, because they wanted larger propellers for more surface area. So they would have to tip backwards. And so that's why it has this sort of World War II aesthetic. And because it's retro-futuristic in terms of its stylings, a lot of the spacecraft and other sort of like designs of like what the future was going to be in the late 40s and the 50s looks a lot like what we saw in World War II in terms of planes. So they would have similar sort of designs with like everything sort of angled upwards. No, nose gear is heavy. Was it just it was just a weight thing? It was also tail drags are more stable on rough runways. Okay, that's a good thing. It's $100, I think. I'll have to look at it again, but whatever the reason, the tip up was classic. Corsair had it, the Mustang had it, every fighter aircraft of the 40s, 30s, and 40s had the tip. That's clearly designed by that,
The cockpit's a really comfy place to be. As you'll see when you look out from the ship, you have great visibility from the left, the right, and ahead of you.
I just love the cockpit. It just looks so slick. The dash is such a strong
I mean, like, the Mosquito, I don't think did. Most of the bombers, well, a lot of the bombers did too. I can't remember. I guess there was the jet aircraft of World War II had the nose gear, but I can't remember many that did.
shape. I've not seen the shape before in any of the other ships.
You'll notice in between your legs a brand new clock, which I believe is the first that we've implemented in a vehicle.
Are you happy with the clock?
Yeah, the clock looks great. It looks like a Swiss.
The P-39 had a front nose gear. Okay. Okay. Here's the thing. I want you to. I'm going to pull up an Air Cobra, and I want you to tell me, what does this look like? Now, this is, to be fair, this is what was on a Soviet version, so one that they gave to the Soviets. Look at the fucking nose. That's not point. That is tipped up. Even though they have the front landing gear, it's still tipped up. So even when they had the front landing gear, they still had the angled fuselage to like tipped skyward.
This timepiece that's in between your legs, just so you can keep track of server time.
You have to stop saying in between your legs.
Oh yeah, the fin. The fin was a idea I kind of had when I noticed from certain angles, especially the nose, kind of had some shapes reminiscent of a boat. So I was kind of thinking, it might be interesting to add something like a keel, also just to make the silhouette a bit more interesting, especially when to add something like a keel.
See, like this looks like a ship. Looks like something you'd put in the water. Looks like a hydroplane, actually. It looks like a lot of those not hydroplanes, the speedboats that like make world records and stuff like that. That's what it looks like.
Keel, also just to make the silhouette a bit more interesting, especially when looked at from the side. And it's also, once again, something that I don't really think any other ship at this point has. And it just adds to there being a transition from landed mode to flight mode.
This vehicle is for somebody who wants a nice, sleek, elegant design.
People who are into sports cars, I hope they will appreciate the surfacing on the ship. I hope people who like retro sci-fi.
I don't think they're universally disliked. I think most people either just don't bother with them or people are super angry about it.
Will appreciate the big engine nacelles on the wingtips. I hope everyone likes it.
It's very unique. There's currently no other ship that looks like it.
Is it your favorite ship you've worked on so far?
Yes, it's my favorite ship. I love the ship. It gave me a lot of headache, but...
I think the team that I worked with was really cool, and I think the ship turned out really epic, and I think you should fly it.
Why did they not name it the Shark? Why not? Wolf is fine. All right. People would get mad if it was called the Cougar. It was fine. Wolf also tracks with Krueger's background. Krueger is clearly inspired by German engineering and German, like that's their original like naming conventions. The name was Krueger. In fact, they used to call the Tiger Strike the Tiger Schreck because they thought that that's what Tiger Strike was in German, or they wanted to make it sound like German. Germans were like, because there's a lot of Germans who follow this game, were like, that's not German. And so they had to change some of those things. But Krueger was clearly supposed to be, you know, very similar to like the Focke, or what is it? It's Focke Wolf? What's the name of it? FW. Focke Wolf. Focke Wolf. It's clearly the sort of like inspiration they're pulling from. Chris is a huge early 20th century flight guy, so. Yeah, it's a German. It's a Krueger is a German name. The original. Let me pull up the original. So this is the original Krueger commercial for the Merlin and the Archimedes. I want you to hear the accent.
We understand the allure of the light. We hear the call of the dark. Our legacy is one of precision in design, of balance and inescapable duality. The push and pull of seemingly opposing forces working in concert to create a consonant equilibrium. The Archimedes and the Merlin. Duality of design. Krueger. Precision. Perfected.
So Wolf is a lot more of a name you would hear from a German manufacturer. Shark, I don't think is like really from a narrative point of view, it might be used in like some niche categories, but, and this is no shade on the Germans, but the Germans aren't really known for their Navy. In fact, the things that they are most known for is the U-boat program. And did they call the U-boats shark packs? No, they called them wolf packs. Wolf is just a name that is very easy to like assign to Germans. So yeah, I just think that they didn't go hard enough. They should have called it the Wolf. Not the wolf, the VULF, the Wolf. Or VOLF, yeah. This is uncomfy. Except German and yeah, but no live tonight. Yeah. All right. So let's pull up the commercial, the actual commercial for the Merlin now. Now, if you're watching this after the fact, this might get muted because I think they used licensed music for this one. So love the channel, keep it up, hold the line. I've been here for like, I've been doing content for like 8 years. I've been the Astropub's almost 10 years old, I think, because I started in like 2016. I ain't going nowhere.
Before progress, there was classic. We say, why choose? Put legacy in motion. Introducing the Krueger L-21 Wolf. Perfection in every piece.
Wow. All right, let's look at the actual schematics for it. So it is 21.5 meters in length, 10.5 meters in width, and 44.2 meters in height. Let me do some comparison real quickly. I'm going to immediately pull open the Gladius, because it's the one that's going to get the most comparison. In terms of size, the Gladius is 17.5 meters, or sorry, it's 21 meters in length. So it's about the same length. 17.5 meters wide. So the Gladius is wider than the Wolf by about 7 meters. And it's taller than the Wolf by about 4.2 meters. Or by it's 4.2 versus 5.5. So it's, you know, around a meter. So generally speaking, this can fit in anything that a Gladius would fit, but not much else. Because it's still about the same height. While it's a little bit, width is a little bit different, its length is the same. In fact, the Wolf is a bit longer than the Gladius. So anything that the Gladius can fit in, this can fit in. Does the Gladius fit in the Carrack Essential? The length is what's going to kill it for any sort of fitting. But like the Gladius doesn't fit in many vehicles other than like dedicated carriers. Yeah, so I don't know why anyone thought that it was going to be the same size as a Gladius or like smaller than a Gladius. It was clearly shooting for around the same size. Gladius is 7 meters wider, yes. The Gladius is actually wider because of its wings. Yep, patches delayed. Yeah, like I said, the Gladius is 21 meters, and the Wolf is 21.5. Gladius being wider is still kind of crazy. I thought she was kind of thick. You mean the was kind of thick? The engines are a little bit weird, but like they're fairly short in comparison to the Gladius's wings. You got to remember, you got to remember that the Gladius serves two purposes. One, it's old as fuck in the lore, and so the only reason the lore made it old as fuck is because the developers wanted to make it old as fuck. The lore is a reflection of the gameplay, not the other way around. So them making it old meant that the designers wanted to make it look old. And as we've seen, basically the Gladius is the standard by which all other fighters are judged by. Everything is designed to fit a Gladius, and thus everything has to be around a Gladius size to fit in a carrier. That's the effectively the concept. And I think that's because practically the developers made the Gladius early on because they knew it was going to be a squadron vehicle. So they wanted to use that as the standard ship for everything they did. So pretty much everything is linked to the Gladius's size. But as a result, the Gladius itself is also, as a result, the Gladius is chunky because it has to be chunky because there's a lot of ships that have been developed afterwards that have to look newer. Thus, the Gladius is a lot bigger than you think for a light fighter. And narratively, it works really well. It's the first modern fighter that humanity ever built. It's the first fighter that had, that we know of, that had shields for its size, that came with swappable hard points for both components and for weapons, and was the first to function as a carrier-based fighter, because before this, fighters were launched out of tubes, like Vipers from Battlestar Galactica. So is the Wolf the new meta? In terms of crashing the game, it is. I don't think anyone's played it, or many people have used it very often because it has a lot of bugs with it, which is the reason why they delayed the release. Please pin your quote there, Mr. Glorious Destroyed. I'm dying. What? It's faster and hits harder than the Gladius. Yeah, but it cannot take a hit at all. It talks shit, but doesn't take the hit. I'm going to make a controversial statement. I like the fin. The more I've seen it, the more I like it, because it reminds me of the pod racers from episode 1. It's almost a grounding effect. When I see it flying with that, it feels like it's grounding the ship itself rather than making it, less of it looks less flying as much as it's ripping across the ground, if that makes sense. I believe the Gladius is the first fighter-sized ship to get shields. The Stiletto was the fighter previous to shields, I believe, and so on. There was also the Comet, which predated the Gladius. But the Comet itself, we don't know if it really saw combat, or we also don't know if it had shields. Because we've never seen the Comet. It's why the Comet's skin exists for the Saber. Yeah, and like the Last Jedi speeders. That one too. We know the Stiletto wasn't the first fighter that human Navy used, but we also know that most of the fighters that the human Navy utilized were heavy fighters rather than light fighters. And it was the Gladius that changed the design and the tactics to use more light fighters because they were fighting against the Talon. The Gladius is basically just a human Talon, and also Krueger. That was the mainline fighter for the Xi'an. So a heavy fighter is just going to get styled on and dunked on. So they needed a ship with shields that was light and fast and maneuverable. So they just took the Talon and said, let's do this, but better. And as far as we can tell from the history of the Gladius, it absolutely fucking ate the lunch of the Talon in the Second Tavaran War. It basically took it around the back of the woodshed and beat it to death. The Talon, they had to resort to the Shrike, not because of like it was an improvement. It was a desperate tactic to get rid of the Gladiuses. They thought, what if we replaced all of our guns on the Talon with bunches of missiles and just spammed them at the Gladius? Eventually they'll die. The Gladius is like almost 500 years old. Oh, you think when did Star Wars hit the public domain? It's 100-something years, so it'd be sometime after 2070. Was it 2075? No Xi'an, but Tavaran. Well, I mean, you got to remember that there was the Xi'an human Cold War was going on at the time as well. So they needed a ship that could go toe-to-toe with Xi'an's mainline fighter, which was Krueger. It wasn't until the Van Duel that humans had to start developing ships beyond just light fighters as their main fighters, because light fighters required 2-on-1 tactics to take down a scythe. So they developed Avenger and then Hornet to take on the scythe. It's always important to remember that the lore is written in reflection of the game design and not the other way around. And the way that they built out the lore indicates a clear progression in terms of style. Human Navy, sorry, bring this down. Why did RSI put a specialized Krueger snub fighter on the Constellation, not just make the one themselves? Every RSI ship is made of Krueger parts. Krueger is a parts manufacturer. So pretty much every ship in human space has some Krueger parts. Like compression manifolds and actuators, and I'm just making up shit, things that I remember. But basically, every part that makes ships go that isn't specifically built for a ship is made by Krueger. Like, likely most of the fuel lines and power lines that are inside ships are Krueger lines. They're Krueger designed. Is the Titan modular lore-wise? To a degree. It's not meant to be easily swappable, but you can modify it. Even Drake uses Krueger parts. In fact, Drake got its start using Krueger parts because Krueger used to be headquartered in Magnus on Berea. It started in the same city that Drake did, only much earlier. So Krueger made a joke at a board meeting. They were discussing, the products that they were shipping, and a board member made a joke that said, "We make every single part of a gun, but don't make the gun," as a joke. And this caused the entire board to stop and go, "Why don't we make the gun?" So they made the gun, and they called it the Tiger Strike. That was their first venture into manufacturing, like anything other than parts. Because they also, they make parts for guns, missiles, ships, ground vehicles, everything. No, GE in space is bearing. They also make everything. I'm trying to think of a European equivalent to GE. Probably that. What's Gemini then? Well, see, Bearing doesn't just make weapons. They also make like laundry machines, washing machines. They make microwaves. They make refrigerators. In fact, more well known for making like coffee makers than they are for making weapons. Bearing as a company makes all of the regular shit. Bearing Applied is the subsidiary of Bearing, which makes all the weapons. Siemens, then Siemens. So wait, will there ever be a Titan with both QID and EMP, at least in theory? I don't think so. That's more of a design question than a question. But I don't think so. As you brought up Drake, will the Corsair get armor since the Ironclad will have it? Probably. All the ships are going to get some armor. But after they made the Tiger Strike, Krueger then approached RSI, because RSI was looking to, they were like on part 4 or 5 of the Constellation. And Krueger approached them with the idea, and they pitched them the idea of making a snub fighter for their new Gladius run, or Gladius, their new Constellation run. Because there's nothing like that existed for the Constellation before. And RSI liked it so much, and because they owed a fuck ton of like goodwill to Krueger, because Krueger basically, it was one of those situations where if Krueger decided to start pulling back from manufacturing parts for RSI, RSI would probably experience massive losses in profit. They'd have to go find another parts manufacturer like Bearing and start working with them. But because they had developed a long-running relationship with Krueger, when Krueger said, "Hey, we're making these snub ships, we'd like to put them on the Connie. Could you do that? Because we're trying to get into ship manufacturing." RSI said, "Sure, little buddy, let's do this." Because they lost nothing, and if something went wrong with the ship, they could blame Krueger. So that the Krueger snub ships were basically created or pitched by Krueger as a way for them to get into making ships. So the Wolf is sort of the follow-up to that. It's them moving forward. Hey, buddy, what do you make? Yes, Youth Pastor Ryan. The company that owns Siemens is BSH. They also own Bosch, Neff, Gangarao, all owned by a larger Bosch group, which is probably inspiration for probably. The Origin wasn't a parts manufacturer. They made engines. They're Porsche. They're technically inspired by BMW, but they're German too. Origin is a GmbH company. They're founded in Frankfurt. I do that, but I don't want to get in trouble with Youth Pastor Ryan Gators. You say someone should. I'm the only person who does lore. And Youth Pastor Ryan is a history buff. All right, so 1 second.
Weapons free, y'all.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
2 words. Distress bacon. 2 words. Distress bacon.
I love
That's...
democracy.
Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go.
Stand by for Titanfall.
But I also say this. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Krueger is actually headquartered in Castra now. It got founded in Berea. RSI threatened to pull out of the, to drop them as a company because they kept getting raided when Berea fell into like outlaw shit. So they left Berea and moved to Castra. So there's 2 major companies in Castra that I hope CIG puts in there, which is Krueger and Clark Defense Systems. Armor maker and parts maker. Technically, vehicle. But I also say this. Now knowing the naming conventions, I'm going to give you a couple more things. We're likely going to see something like the Excalibur. We're also likely to see a Panther or Tiger from Krueger. Trying to think of what else. Leopard. I don't think we'll see a Cougar. Cougar isn't really German. So I'm thinking of like German naming conventions. Leopard is a big one. Panther, Tiger, a lot of cat names. But they could also be going with more like dog-like names. We got Wolf. We might have Fox. We might have not a Coyote. I don't see a Fox because Fox would be, in terms of naming, feels like it would be a lighter ship than a Wolf. So I think the medium ship is probably going to end up being called the Excalibur. And I think the medium or heavy fighter will probably be a like Leopard or Tiger. Trying to think of like what are generic canid species. Maybe Doberman. That's kind of a weird name though. Like a Shepherd. Ooh, possibly Shepherd. I could see the medium or heavy fighter being called the Shepherd. Elk are good too. That's a very German thing. Bearcat. Listen, I too want the Bearcat. I do want CIG to do the Bearcat, which is just Aegis's version of the Hawk. Direwolf? Yeah, good work. Then again, I also want the Wildcat. I want the Bearcat. I want the whole Grumman Hellcat range of planes to be an Aegis thing. Dragon Heavy Fighter, I could see that too. Ooh, Lancer would be good too, yeah. I'm not going to see Panzer, I don't think. Well, Drake is technically. Maybe a Salamander? That's more British than it is German, though. Wyvern. That could work, yeah. A Jaguar ship? Again, that's more British. Oh, it's a French jet. Okay. I mean, I just think about it as the car, but yeah. Hey, Parker. I'm pretty certain we're going to see more Krueger ships because we've got the Merlin, the Archimedes, we've got the Wolf. We're likely to see a medium ship, a heavy ship, and my guess is a utility ship. So like a medium fighter, a heavy fighter, a medium utility or gunship, and a large ship. I could see them doing a Naboo courier style ship or Flash Gordon rocket style. Lizard. I sincerely hope that CIG avoids feeding the wereabouts. I get that. I understand that. But it's clear that they're inspired, because the thing about you got to understand about Chris is that Chris is a huge aviation fan. So he loves aviation from World War I to World War II and in the 1950s and 60s. So basically the first half of the 20th century up until modern aviation in the 70s. He's really not necessarily nostalgic, but he really loves that era of aviation. He actually, I think he talked about this at one point where he wanted to do a World War I ace movie. He wanted to do a movie about World War I ace pilots before Flyboys was released. And then Flyboys released, and it was absolutely fucking awful, or just tanked in the box office. So that killed any chance for Chris to produce a World War I fighter ace movie. He's also painfully British. Yes. So I think there are ways to evoke the German heritage of Krueger without going straight down the German the German tank path. Which is why I think the like elk, maybe the dire wolf. Dire wolf would be, in my opinion, like the medium or heavy version of the wolf. Ooh, I could see that. They could do the wolf, like the hell wolf and the dire wolf or something like that. Use the wolf as part of its fighter names. Ooh, the werewolf. That'd be a good one. The dire wolf, the dire wolf, and the werewolf. As long as they avoid werewolf. Why? I don't think they're gonna do Kaiser Wolf. So exciting night, a drop that wasn't, a ship that isn't a knockoff, and an anti-cheat that screwed the pooch. Is it the anti-cheat that was causing problems with the wolf? Interesting. Shit wolf. I love that. Wolf is a popular citizen name. Yes. I'm trying to think of it because like dire wolf is the common one. I'm trying to think of other wolves. Ooh. They could go down the actual wolf or the interesting wolf route. Just looking at this. They could go wolf, dire wolf, and then the heavy version, a heavy fighter being called the Fenrir. Timberwolf would work too. Apparently, Easy Anti-Cheat had a connection of fits with lots of services globally. I saw somewhere where like the Battlefield 6 was saying that other games are malware that it tried to launch. Yeah, it's always good for them to like back off of it when they're pushing it. Mouse for the heavy. No, getting away from that. I do think if they use like stag or wolf, not wolf, stag or elk as their as the name, that'd be really good. Like a medium ship, the stag, the Krueger stag, Krueger M53 stag. Because the P stands for patrol, or yeah, I think it stands for patrol. L in the L-21 clearly stands for light. So the M would be for medium and an H would be for heavy. And so like a medium, but a medium fighter, but not a medium fighter, but like a medium ship. So it'd probably be like U-53 Stag would be kind of cool one. Stag has got a connotation. It's an old name. I think it's German, and it usually has a connotation of speed, elegance, and speed. Stag is tough, fast, and nimble.
Do you want to dance?
Welcome. Thank you so much for that raid. Welcome everyone from Locust Stream. My name is Paul Berserker1 ManChaca, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. We're talking about the Krueger L-21 Wolf. We're talking about how there's clearly going to be more variants or more ships from Krueger down the line. And I could see CIG choosing the Wolf name as sort of the basis for all of its fighter ships from light, medium to heavy. So we're thinking about like German inspired names that would work for their range. I thought things like they already have Merlin and Archimedes. You could have Excalibur. You could even have Arthur. So would a flight of stags be a stag party? Yes. I mean, you know, a freelancer size Krueger ship that's called the Stag. Oh, I'm just pulling it out of my ass. The U-52 Stag is just a fast as fuck medium utility ship. Who makes the Titan mech? In terms of the combat mech, it is Virgil Ltd. Virgil Limited. They're the armor manufacturer. They make the UEE advocacy armor you can get. Paul, in the waning days of the old dub DOS, werewolves were a German special forces unit intended to deploy specifically in AstroTurf partisan. Oh, I didn't know that. True Def, yes. The True Def line of armor is made by Virgil. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, stuff from the Brothers Grimm stories. Anything from the Black Forest. Any creature from the Black Forest. Someone said wild boar, but a boar would be a badass name for like a large Connie competitor. Krueger boar. Well, I could also, yeah, say a gunship called the Jaeger. Yeah, that would work. Are we seeing evidence of generational dumbing down as they didn't choose a name of historical importance to accompany the new ship? No, I think they're just artists doing artist things. As Star Citizen, as CIG has expanded its roster in terms of, there's like 50 plus people in the ship development team. As you find people who are making ships who have a background all over the planet, you're going to have different ideas being brought forward. I can see why this is called the Wolf. Beowulf would be a good one too, yes. That's Anglo-Saxon, but it's German. They already have like Archimedes and Merlin, which are sort of like Greek and British. Yeah. We do need new Origin ships and CNOU ships. We don't really need new Origin ships. We need more CNOU ships. There's a lot of Origin ships. Because you've got the X-85, right? You've got the M50, you've got the 100i, you've got the 300, 100 series, the 300 series, the 400, the 600, and the 890. Plus, you also have the 85, or it's the 85X is the other one. Plus, you also have the G12 and the X1. That's 9 vehicles / ships. They don't need a whale. They don't need a capital ship. Krueger is such a small company. Same with like, well, actually they kind of do. CNOU actually has a capital ship. It's called the Pioneer. And we also know that the new ships, the gigantic cargo ships we've seen in Squadron 42 are clearly CNOU ships. So, ooh, Gargoyle. Yeah, using Gothic. They've already done Arthurian, so you can do Arthurian references.
You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
I do like the Jaeger. That's a really good thing.
Gasoline Moth has subscribed.
Thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub there, Gasoline Moth. You're very important, but very impressive. It's very production. This is your fault. You're starting drinking. Shots and chews and chat. Shots and chews. We already have a Raven. I don't want CIG to do more. But yeah, like, Jaeger just means hunter. And, like, Jaeger is such a name that's so common in popular fiction. You know, it's been a last name. It's the last name of characters. It's of several characters that in recent popular fiction. It's the name of the freaking giant machines in Pacific Rim. Like, people know what a Jaeger is. I don't know if terror works. Capital ships don't make sense for Krueger, because Krueger doesn't scream to me big. It screams elegant and overly engineered. So I can see them going as big as large. Yeah, I said Krueger Shepherd would probably work. Like, my pitch to CIG would be a medium utility ship similar to the Freelancer or the C1, which sits somewhere between the C1 and the Freelancer. Maybe holds 64 S or 32 SCU cargo, 216. 216 SCU crates, and is just fast as fuck in a straight line, and it's two person. You know, one person for the pilot, one person for the gunner, and it's called the U-52. Or I already have a 52. You have a 50. So maybe 38. It's probably good. This brings up like uranium. U stands for utility. Stag. 38 Stag. The starter ship. I can see a Krueger starter ship called the Fox. Yeah. You can ask their, so yeah. Those of you who don't know, I tend to avoid game questions when I'm streaming on the Astro Historian. When I'm streaming on the Astro Pub, yeah, go for it. I'm good for lore and for regular stuff. So. Hear me out. What if they drew inspiration from non-European manufacturers? I love for that, but I'd prefer that for other manufacturers rather than. I can see that with RSI. I could see that with CNOU, and MISC. And their subsidiary. You can already see that. Maybe Drake could probably do that a little bit. But with Krueger, I think they need to probably stick to Germanic-ish. Generally European, like very natural European. So like name it after animals or mythical heroes. C-25 Stag, I can see that too. Personally, I'd love for them to do a. We really don't have Russian-inspired manufacturer. We don't have any Afrofuturism style inspired manufacturer. Southeast Asian, well, Southeast Asian kind of ish area. I'd love an Afrofuturism style, like an African-based ship manufacturer that is sort of inspired by Afrofuturism designs would be cool. I've always seen Star Citizen as sort of a melting pot for a lot of different sci-fi ideas, and to try to like take these ideas and put them together into one pot, because it kind of works. It's sort of like an easy way of diversifying looks where people can kind of pick a ship or pick an outfit or style that works for them and then work with. Drake is very Soviet inspired. Yes, it is, but like we don't have like a straight up like Soviet. We don't have a Sugoi, style manufacturer. We have Russian inspired weapons makers. We already have a Drake racing ship. It's called the Herald. Landing zones are New York, Shanghai, Moscow. Could have Dar es Salaam or Cairo or Joburg. Yeah, I mean, there's also a couple of pretty burgeoning cities on West African coast. I'm trying to remember which are pretty big. Yeah. Ain't the new Wolf fighter? It's not a Krueger Interstellar. Not familiar with light fighters. Given, am I right thinking the quantum capable? It is their first quantum capable. Drake is inspired by Lada. That is true. I've always seen Drake as sort of a mix between like Russian utilitarian and like American utilitarian. Like, yeah, you can see the wires, but they're mostly neatly packed. Yeah, it's their first step into a non-parasite fight. They've been very slow to roll out just products. Argo is Caterpillar. I'd love an American themed ship designer. I feel like it would be kind of like the Tavarin style. Are you talking about like non-US? Yeah. On the other hand, do we think CIG has the juice to write Central and South American cultures, African cultures, etc.? Like these guys who thought, a lawless system has no cops. We clearly have no societal order, and no one to collect the pins. I think it's overgeneralization. I get what you're saying, but I think it's overgeneralization. They're supposed to be African. Oh, okay, yeah. MISC is literally Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. Like MISC has a division called MISC High, which is just like M High, which is, it's the same thing. It's Mitsubishi. MISC is Mitsubishi. I think CIG is more careful about that, Iris. I don't think, like, I don't remember Levski being a dump. I remember it being jerry-rigged, like ad hoc, but not garbage read. It'd help if they merge some companies. Nah, it's fine that they have so many different companies. Lets them be more creative. So the patch is delayed until tomorrow because the the wolf was causing lots of problems for the patch. There were some significant issues with the wolf and its usability. So they're going to look at fixing it and then try to release it tomorrow. Oh yeah, like I saw someone say, does this remind you of the does wolf remind you of the swordfish from Bebop? I'm like, yeah, it's the swordfish from Bebop. Its stats are fine. I think the fin's fine. You're not going to notice the fin 9 times out of 10. You only notice the fin if you're really close. Was it more audio glitches related to Wolf? I was seeing some like straight up game breaking glitches. Like it wouldn't load properly, break your hanger. It was that kind of stuff. Well, it's because Smash Leaf pays close attention to that. Because you're gonna lose the fin low flying. I think they should make more companies, adds variety in life. It gives more competition, create and it's the lore. Yeah. I see Swordfish, I see N1, I see Bellu Bob 22, this is Fighter, and World War II era fighter. Patch is late till Friday, Paul, unless you mean we're already into Thursday, so tomorrow is Friday. For me, it's Thursday at 8:14 p.m. So it is Thursday. There's still different companies, but use the same design language. Argo doesn't use the same design language as Paul. They all use different design language.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
My time travel, so it's relative.
Ever take away my space game.
Harabek_weather, just resubscribed for 16 months. I love the wolf so much. I bought it 11 times to test how many fit in the Idris Polaris.
Thank you so much, Harabek, for that 16 months of support. You're very important, Paul. We're very impressed with Mr. Very interesting. You rock. Shots and cheers and chat. Y'all, shots and cheers. You still need a flying saucer inspired ship? Yes. I do like the take that X and Grim have taken with that, of making a like a repair and resupply ship a la the Crucible, but for Argo and making it a bow. No, it's not going to dock with the Connie. It's too big. It's the size of a Gladius. It's within the same margin of the Gladius. It's skinnier than the Gladius. Its width is 7 meters less. It is longer than the Gladius by about a meter. It's 1 meter long, but it's around the same size, so it won't fit with the Merlin at all. Super needs to be an alien manufacturer. What's super? Later, Chachi. My hopium for CitizenCon is a Titan suit drop. Man, I wish. Like, CIG could do so many things with Titan suits, and I know they want to, but I think a lot of it is hidden behind Squadron. And I think they want to save the reveal of the Zeus system, which I know is frustrating. It is called the Zeus for Squadron. But I could also see them doing a lot of different things. The Zeus, the Hermes, Athena, the Aphrodite, Apollo, Artemis, Hephaestus. I'm trying to think of all the different various Greek gods. CIG did a silly name thing again. I think the reason why they kept the name was because there's probably some lines in Squadron that reference it as the Zeus, and that in CIG's defense, it was the Zeus before they remade the Zeus ship. I would love for them to do the Kratos, only because we know that one of the writers at CIG worked on the original God of War games. I forgot who it was, and he may not be the only one. There's a couple of people. I know he came from Sony Santa Monica, so maybe a couple of people from Sony Santa Monica. Not the new ones, I don't think. I think he worked on the old ones. So I agree. The Lance or the Lancelot would work. I could also see similar sort of medieval names like Lion and Stag, or Arthur, or Excalibur. Probably get an Excalibur. If we get an Excalibur ship, it's going to be off Krueger. What I'd really love is for their large ship that will hopefully look similar to the Naboo and Blockade Runner from the first episode 1 of Star Wars. That would be amazing to call that Excalibur, because that would also be a sort of nod to the Babylon 5 Excalibur. So Power Sword variant of the power suit, please. We know that CIG has a melee sort of idea or melee functionality with Zeus. It was put into the files at some point. They took it out around 4.0. It was 3, 2, or whatever the last 3 patch was where it was added. And then the NPTU, and then they took it out. No, it's not a stub. It's got a QD. It's a light fighter. Did they get 4.3 live? I thought they delayed it until tomorrow. But yeah, the Titan suits are named after the Greek gods, is why they're called Titan suits. My headcanon, and which I'm pretty sure they'll go with, is that they're called Titan suits because the first exoskeleton suit made by humanity was called the Titan. And for those of you who want to know, yes, the ATLS is a Titan suit because it's called the Atlas. It's a Titan. Wolf looks like it's missing wings and tail section. It bothers me greatly. I like it. It's not really a plane as much as it's the Naboo Starfighter. Just sort of reversed. In fact, let's pull up this before we get into the 4.3 and do my reaction to that. By the way, the Wolf is $90 war bond, $100 credit, and it comes with a bonus paint. Black and yellow, I like that. Here are the specs. See, Daddy, why did you make the specs so bad? I couldn't read the specs. Probably not your fault. All right, let's take a look at the specs. Okay, so it hasn't released. 4.3 hasn't released. Okay. I know that C Daddy is the one who's responsible for some of these. All right. I do like these images. So we've got 21.5 meters in length, 10.5 meters width, 4.2 meters height. It's got one pilot seat. Its max speed right now is 230 meters per second. It has one size 1 power plant, 5 main thrusters, 1 quantum drive, size 1, 2 retro thrusters, so it goes fast in a straight line, but don't try to slow down. 1 jump drive, so it even has a jump drive. 16 MAV thrusters, 2 size 1 shield gens, 1 live support, 2 size 1 coolers, 1 size 1 battery, 1 size 1 computer, and 1 size 1 radar. 2 ballistic, retractable ballistic Gatlings, and 8 size 1 missiles. Yes, it has a jump drive, a quantum drive. It's all size 1, though it does have twin size 1 shields and twin coolers. Looking at it from the top, you actually see the wings here too. You can kind of see them. They just sort of only see them from the top, or the tail, I should say. It almost looks like a dagger. Question, when do we accept the higher price of ships due to inflation? I don't know why you say this is higher price. This is a Gladius competitor. So it being the same price or around the same price as the Gladius makes sense. What is the... Arrow is $75, so it's a little cheaper, but it's also a starter ship. A stiletto, you would say? This isn't a stiletto. Man, I wish CIG added the stiletto snubs. That would be great. The real answer is don't buy ships. They're awful value. Ships are terrible value because you'll eventually be able to get all of them in game. And so whatever you pay for them is never going to be actually worth the value of them in the first place. Especially light fighters. There's an old saying from the info runners: don't buy fighters or sell your fighters. Don't buy fighters. Fighters are the worst value. The only thing that's worse value in terms of ships, other than fighters, are vehicles. Ground vehicles. Ground vehicles are awful value, and then fighters are awful value. The price is about project supporting. If you want to support the project and you don't have a lot of money, then just buy skins. They're better value anyways, because you can always purchase the ship in game and get a skin for that ship, and you can still apply that skin onto your like in-game purchase ship. Land. Yep, land vehicles. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like anything that has wheels or hovers is of an awful value. Because all of them are in, like for instance, the ATLS is like $20, I want to say, $30. I forgot exactly what it is. Could purchase it for $30. But you can get it in game for like $500K. If that, probably more like $50K. And everyone knows, like, that's like 1 to 2 missions in most cases. Yeah, patches tomorrow at the earliest. We don't know for sure, but it is planned on releasing tomorrow. The reason why they haven't released it is because the Wolf was added and it showed a lot of problems. And so they wanted to fix those problems before they go. See that he works for CIG. They can say they can as they can say the plan is the current goal is tomorrow, but shit happens. Yeah. Yes, store-bought will have warranty, but you can always earn warranty in game. What I'm saying is the value of those ships is a lot lower than earning it in game, because even when the game is finalized, they balance everything out. Ships that are smaller and land vehicles will always have to be cheaper to purchase or just easier to make than larger ships. So any price you pay is too much, unless it comes with a starter pack so you can play the game. Yeah, LTI is not worth the money. Your warranty is not worth the money, because you can always get it back if you pay in-game cash for it. Remember, Stress is the opposite of pay to win. The winners are the people who bought $45 starter and nothing else. I agree, because they're going to have the best experience. I'm surprised Hurston sells military/heavily armed ships to civilians. Hurston, what's that owned by Hurston? It's owned by a private individual. But that's only sort of there because they don't have other locations. Once we have other locations that sell ships in space, so like especially Castra and Terra, you'll likely see a lot of those heavily armed ships that are in at New Deal. They'll probably be removed. Industrial ships. Hurston does sell heavily armed weapons too. They sell attritions and dominance like crazy. All right, chat. I'm gonna do a capsule. We're gonna do a sort of a response to. We're gonna do a.
You're here.
I'm here. A live reaction to, or a reaction video to the Alpha 4.3 patch report that Jared did to give some context, to say the good things and the bad things, and then I'll release it as a kind of a way of saying, hey, more of this, please, CIG. But if you haven't seen it, we'll watch it together. Just note that I'm going to be recording this, and I will be mentioning this. So I'll be like talking to the audience as well. So just keep that in mind. All right, 3, 2, 1. Oh, hello there. Lost weight. Your arms. I think you're getting a little buff. Maybe it's because you're taking your capsules. That's right, capsules. This is a small section of my office hours live stream that I do live on twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub, live on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'd love to have you join us live as we talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. We just talked a lot about Krueger, the history of Krueger, the Wolf, the L-21 Wolf, which is just released, all sorts of wonderful things like that. So come join us live there on Thursdays. I also do my Captain's Table, which you can find at youtube.com/@the-Captain's-Table podcast or the Captain's Table podcast on any podcast platform. You can find those as well on Saturdays. So come join us there. But CIG released a very candid video. First 4 minutes of it is very candid, but also reviews 4.3 as a patch. So I wanted to do a reaction to it because as somebody who follows a lot of closely of CIG's communications and their monthly reports and stuff like that, I do want to hear what they say. And I do want to put some context in, as well as some critique of how CIG could move forward and improve some of this discussion, as well as just talk a little bit about 4.3 and add some context there. So with that all being said, let's watch Inside Star Citizen Alpha 4.3 patch report.
We got one take. Let's talk about the elevator in the room. Now, up until this point, freight elevators were mostly used in single-player, short-term environments like personal hangars. There would usually only be one user, and on the back end, it would be stowed when you left, and a fresh new freight elevator.
Is my mic getting robot-y? All right, let me retry that. Now it's fine. I'm going to restart it, and I'm going to kind of let it roll for a little bit, and so to get it out of that. Are we get elevator music in this patch? No, not that I know of. All right, try this again. All right, how's my voice? Is it still robot-y? Am I good now? Okay, because I started the recording again. I'm gonna do this again. Hey, You're finally awake. Welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right, capsule. I stole that from chat. You're welcome, chat. Who said that specifically? Cody Fox stole it from you. This is a small section of my Office Hours live stream that I do on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, here on twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live. We talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. So come join us live here and join chat and discussing some of these. Yeah, with today, I don't usually do these. I tend to do them when they talk about lore stuff, give some context, but I do also do a lot of discussions around how CIG communicates and the way that they deal with the community in general. If you watch my Captain's Table podcast, we cover that topic frequently. It's funny, Space Tomato reached out to me recently because Space Tomato wants to do one on how can CIG improve their communications, and asked his community who they wanted on that channel, and everyone was said me. So obviously it's something I do a lot, just to give context. But if you have been watching me and you've been watching all my other stuff, I always like to remind you to please hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified. When we go through this, as always, I want to hear your thoughts down below when we finish about any of my discussions. But I'm going to add some context to what's being said, because this latest Inside Star Citizen Alpha 4.3 patch report starts off with some very candid admissions from Jared, and I want to react to that a little bit. So without any further ado, let's get started.
You're here, I'm here, we got one take. Let's talk about the elevator in the room. Now, up until this point, freight elevators were mostly used in...
My mic is doing ducking. Okay, hold on. Let me fix something. Let's see if it's my mic itself. Ah, that's why. I had a noise gate on. How's it now? Is it ducking in and out? I'll try it one more time. I'm stealing that. Hey, you're finally awake again, though. Okay. I'm going to do a little quick test. Hey, chat. You're all looking handsome and fine. This is the Astropub. Office hours. Thing. Stuff. Weapon. Do you like weapon? I like weapon. I'm going to move my head around and talk as I'm speaking. In and out. Going a little bit low, talk a little bit about Jared, and then moving a little bit high and talk a little bit more. Is the background, can you hear any noise in the background, or is it good? All right, cool. Let's do this one more time. I think I figured out what was wrong. Oh, hey, you're finally awake. Welcome back to another Office Hours. Capsule. Might be a little cut off there. Capsule. This is a small section of my Office Hours live stream that I do on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live, where we talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. We just talked a lot about Krueger and specifically the Wolf, but also some of the history behind Krueger and the possible future naming conventions. We'll be talking about the roadmap roundup after this. So we've got a lot of stuff that's coming in. So keep that in mind with what we're discussing today. Because today, I don't do this often. I do not do the live react content a lot, unless it has to do something specifically in my wheelhouse. But Jared was very candid with this latest Inside Star Citizen, and I do want to give some constructive feedback as well as some context for what's going on. as well as some context for the actual 4.3 as it is. So if you do like these things, please make sure to let me know by liking the video, subscribe for more content, hit the bell icon to be notified when there's release, and comment down below. Because if you want to see me do more React content, I can do more React content, but I don't really feel comfortable doing a lot of it unless people want me to see it. But I do always watch Inside Star Citizen or any kind of video content that CIG releases on the office hours, so you can join us live for that one. Without any further ado, let's look at Inside Star Citizen. God fucking damn it. It's popping? All right, so I'm not going to stream. I'm not going to record. We'll just watch it. What's going on? Let me review it. Let me review it. It's peaking. Pull it up. I'm going to do a little quick test. Hey, chat. You're all looking handsome and fine. This is the Astropub. Office hours. What about Jared? And then move it a little bit high and talk a little bit more. And specifically the Wolf, but also some of the history. But I do always watch Inside Star Citizen or any kind of video content that CIG releases on the office hours, so you can join us live for that one. Without any further ado, let's look at Inside Star Citizen. God fucking damn it. Okay. Maybe it's because I need to turn it into a condenser mic. I'm going to keep talking and see if that works. Is that good? Is that good? I'm going to turn down the gain significantly. So that's pretty low. Can you still hear me pretty well? It's low. I'm turning up the gain a lot, so. I didn't know that ISC was titled God fucking damn it. This computer has given me nothing but fucking problems. I'm beginning to think it's my Go XLR. I think it's my Go XLR itself, my mini, that's fucking up. Because, like, I've done everything on the computer and it doesn't seem to do it. Slow again? Okay. So basically I have to jump the gain all the way up. So I'm gonna try a condenser. How's this? I'm probably way too low. Way too low, right? But now you can pick up all the background. So condenser doesn't work. I need to do a dynamic. Okay, 1 second. All right, I was just checking the levels to make sure they're good. How does it sound? I can reduce the volume a little bit or increase it a little bit more. That's about it.
You're here.
Hello? Probably a little better. How does that sound? Better? Okay, I'm going to keep talking. Hello, one more test to see if this works. I'm trying to talk a little bit high. I'm going to talk a little bit low. I'm going to get down to the kind of little mumbling. You know, do my little, this thing, that. Then I got started really more animated. Woo! Let's talk about Star Citizen. Ducks out on the low end. I can change that a little bit. Now I can go to a little bit on the low end. Hello, welcome to the Astro Pub. I'm going to get a little bit lower. Hey, what's up? This is talking loud. Then I'm talking a little low. How about now? I'm gonna talk a little bit high. I'm gonna talk a little bit low. I'm gonna talk a little low. Doing a little bit lower. Talking lower. Even lower. Talking lower. I'm gonna whisper a little bit. Can you hear me? I'm talking very quietly. Okay. Okay. Is there still like a bunch of stuff in the background? I'm going to talk very quietly. Then I'll talk very animatedly and then talk very quietly. Make sure you can hear me still. Animatedly and then talk very quietly. Make sure you can hear me still. Okay. The background noise? Perfect. I think I fixed it. All right. One more time for the cheap seats. And if it stops, then we'll just watch it. All right. Hey, I saw you across YouTube and I like your vibe. Which is why this is another office hours capsule. That's right. Another small section of my office hours live stream where I talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more on my channel, the Astro Pub Live, or on YouTube at the Astro Pub on 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Thursdays. Would love to have you come join us live. Yeah, we've been having some audio issues, so hopefully this works a little bit. But if you do hear some of that, let me know down below, especially if you are an audio expert and you might be able to help me out here. I've had some problems with my new Now, I don't always do reactions to Inside Star Citizen because I find that reaction content is just not my style. So when I say I'm going to be doing this reaction, why I'm doing this reaction is because I have been a vocal advocate and critic of CIG's communications and how they speak to us as a community. And there's a bit about 4 minutes or so inside how this latest Inside Star Citizen functions, where Jared really is candid about what's going on. And I like it, but I do want to add some context as well as some critique in terms of how CIG can improve this going forward, as well as we're going to talk a little bit about 4.3, because I think that 4.3 is one of the best patches CIG has done in a long time and has a lot of potential to be probably your best experience in Star Citizen. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Without any further ado, let's get into Inside Star Citizen Alpha 4.3 patch report.
I'm here. We got one take. Let's talk about the elevator in the room. Now, up until this point, freight elevators were mostly used in single-player, short-term environments like personal hangars. There would usually only be one user, and on the back end, it would be stowed when you left, and a fresh new freight elevator presented every single time you went back in. Now, while certainly not perfect, these tended to operate better than the ones out in the wilderness at, say, outposts, which, like many other things in the verse, tended to compound their issues over time the longer they were left to run. Now, of all the known issues with all the freight elevators in the game, most tend to revolve around simple things like it just doesn't work, and bigger problems like all my items have vanished and they're now lost forever, which itself can often tie into other issues with things like long-term persistence, which we're gonna have an SCL on with Benoit soon to discuss some new developments there. So if it's okay with you, we're gonna stick to freight elevators for the time being. Now at this point, I'm not really telling you anything that most active players don't already know, but it's important to note that these issues have been egregious enough that we'd already started a directed repair initiative months ago. It's just not completed yet. Obviously. Maybe super obviously. As with transit, when working these issues, we try really hard to avoid what are known as hack fixes and focus instead on trying to uncover what is ultimately the root cause that will create all this instability underneath. And that process can often seem like absolutely nothing is happening for days or even weeks at a time.
He's right. And that's one of the reasons why I always do the monthly reports. So I always read through the entirety of the monthly reports because often stuff that comes into the game later down the road is stuff that is being worked on in the monthly reports. And I know that the Star Citizen community is very video focused, where if they have to see something or tangibly touch it in order for it to exist. But I think that's a little bit of a holdover from CIG of the past. In the last 2 years or so, generally speaking, if CIG is talking about it, they're working on it, and we usually see it within 6 to 9 months of it being discussed in the monthly report. Thus, as a result, there is some information there. It's just players tend to not get that because most players don't bother to read the monthly reports. So that is where my first critique would come in with this, is that there needs to be a way for them to talk to us while they're working on something. Even if it's a little side thing, but it has to be audio or video, and it has to be there. I've said this in the past, as much as it would ruin my whole shtick of doing monthly reports, reading through them for people, if Jared sat down and read the monthly report every month, word for word, and just did a simple sort of slideshow or just audio format. People are saying my audio is fading out. I'm just going to keep going, and I'm just going to be a little bit louder. If Jared just simply did audio, just read the audio from front to back, then people would listen. But because it's an official release. Even if it's not sexy, more people would listen to it. So, yeah, that's it. I think they need to focus on that.
So, last month, what happened with Race for Stanton? Well, sometimes changing how we use old features can be just as painful as adding a bunch of new ones. With a higher concurrency in daily active users than any patch this year, large numbers of players were driven from their private freight elevators and their personal hangars to the more troublesome ones out in the PU. Statistically rare states became common, and less common issues became fertilized and grew into bigger, unavoidable ones. Although in many cases, this still took hundreds or even thousands of players using each freight elevator to manifest a single issue.
Jared, stop gaslighting people. This is a lie. Because we have had these problems on these specific elevators for a year. Everyone I know who has done cargo running, myself included, avoided these elevators because they were always broken. Now, it may not be these specific issues, but the elevators themselves have had significant problems, including some of these specific issues, for a year. Please don't try to save yourself when you've known that these have had problems for a while. And he addresses this a little bit later, but absolutely, this is unacceptable. This has been a problem that every trader has known for a while. You just didn't listen to us.
Now, like with Transit before it, or the infamous 30K issues of old, who remembers those? The issues you encounter in the PU are not always due to one or two bugs, but often dozens and dozens of underlying conditions beneath and around it, which throwing thousands and thousands of players at have helped us address more successfully than ever before. And since the release of Alpha 4.2.1 and up until the recording of this video, we've identified the root causes of 44 individual freight elevator issues, with 20 of them being classified as blockers or critical, and almost all of them with causes only revealed by running thousands of people into them over and over and over again throughout this event. Now, in a phrase that should be very familiar to our software engineer enthusiasts out there, as we work to fix each issue we encountered, the resolution would often reveal another lying in wait underneath. But this is a good thing, yeah? We did all this intentionally to force progress so we can finally fix freight elevators like we did 30K and are still doing with Transit? No. Now, while the project will definitely benefit from what happened long term with all the fixes and hardening that's been going in and that will continue to go in throughout Alpha 4.3 and beyond, the answer to what really happened isn't particularly exciting or salacious or any different than what I imagine most of you already suspected. We knew there'd be issues like there have been, but we underestimated how they'd compound on top of one another at higher stresses.
That I agree with. Almost certainly that was the case. That's effectively what I thought was going on, because observing CIG for a long time, that's sort of their mentality. Were there problems? Yes, there's always problems. And QA probably caught most of these problems, but they couldn't replicate them entirely. CIG has a specific problem that they often encounter where internally it works fine, but then they push it out to the wider audience and things break. Most of that time, it's specifically concurrency. So like how much things work. So they obviously knew that there was going to be problems, but they didn't know what specific issues were happening. And they have fixed some of those issues, which is fine. And I'm glad that they addressed that this wasn't just some sort of, we knew it would break, we're throwing it out there intentionally to break, because that would ruin their reputation, which I've constantly said is don't do that. Try to fix it as much as possible, but things are going to happen. The critique would be, if you know there's going to be problems, don't do it. Just don't do it. use something else. Do something else that you know is less likely to break. Even if it's cool, it doesn't mean it's worth it. You know, just do the thing that works. I've seen a lot of suggestions for things like distribution centers and even stations. You know, like the L point stations, right? Those have been fine. At least more options, even if you needed to test them.
It's been a sometimes frustrating process for everyone on both sides of the project. But at the same time, we're super proud of the content and cadence we've achieved this year, and of the strides all of our teams are making to make this the most compelling year of Star Citizen gameplay yet. For every single step backwards, I truly believe we're taking multiple strides forward, and the overall improvements to the experience along the way are what keep many of us motivated to continue going month after month. And with this new Onyx facilities content drop being spread out over multiple releases, we're going to continue taking the time to improve existing experiences along the way. And to that end, as some of you probably have already heard, it was in the loading screen and whatnot, we're also going to go ahead and extend the Race for Stanton missions while we continue to work on freight elevators throughout Alpha 4.3. It'll mean another month for folks to try to dethrone Hurston from the lead they hit so very early, for you to earn any of the individual rewards that are still outstanding, and for us to continue beating on freight elevators about the head and neck with the proverbial pipe along the way. And all while you continue your exploration of ASD's latest malpractices. And speaking of which, we've also made the decision to keep relatively quiet on Onyx facilities and ISC and beyond. We do this to better let you investigate and discover things for yourself. But that doesn't mean there isn't more that August has to offer. So let's go ahead and use our remaining time this week to explore the other aspects of this new release in Patch Report Alpha 4.3.
Before we get into it, it's about half the video. But the stuff that he was talking about specifically with them extending this, they had to do it. It's a good call. And as much as I am harsh on them for sort of trying to say, you know, oh, well, like, we thought this was going to work, and like, we had no idea, and it's clear they did, or they just weren't listening. The rest of this is a good way of doing things. I am glad that they are communicating this way. And I think most people are as well. I'm glad that they addressed the issue, because I think CIG even realized that, oh, when we do PvE content, people show up. It's almost like the majority of the community enjoys PvE, and specifically non-combat PvE. Funny that. So the things that I hope CIG has learned is more of this, but also please stop relying on things that you know are broken if you are doing a big event. And if you can't rely on them, just don't do that event. Do something else. Sandbox events are fine. We'll talk about 4.3 a little bit when we talk about Onyx, but Onyx is a great addition. Some of the best experiences I've had in Star Citizen, which is great. And month to month, they have hit a cadence, which is good. I think CIG has learned and has improved significantly since the beginning of this year. And I'm looking forward to what they do in the future. But, you know, as always, they can always tighten up the communication here and there. I disagree with the idea that CIG never communicates. They do much better than 90% of the gaming community out there. And there really aren't companies the size that CIG is that does that. They are a bunch of nerds who really are excited about Star Citizen. That's really what they're focused on, but, you know. All right, with that, let's continue. The only thing that bugs me about this video is the fact that they completely avoid any sort of apology. CIG's never going to apologize. That is just one of the things that they'll never do. They'll never apologize. They'll explain, but they'll never apologize. It's just not. It might be a legal thing. It might be just a personality thing, but I don't think you'll hear apologies. And they'll rarely take personal responsibility for things. They'll mostly, instead of taking personal responsibility, they're mostly put the onus on players and then never put themselves on there. Again, that's likely legal culpability would be my guess, or them at least worrying about legal culpability.
For several years now, we've had these ground storms with rain and snow and whatnot, and those are sticking around for a while yet. But in Alpha 4.2, we continued to get our feet wet with the first iteration of dynamic rain. And now, 2 months later, in this release, we're continuing our climate campaign with the nascent version of dynamic snow, which leverages the same system to sleet the skies wherever the surrounding situation is sound. Sorry. It's a small thing to let us avoid rain falling on snowy areas, but these incipient iterations will continue to develop both in gameplay and in its sights and sounds over subsequent releases.
Looks good.
And meanwhile, in things you can wear and hold, almost every patch this year has had a new armor and weapon to discover. And in August, you'll find the new Specialist Light Stealth Armor. There are a few different variations floating around, including a neat ASD one, and this one from Wicklow. It's an interesting visor, but it does beg the question, with the blast shield down, how can I even see? How am I supposed to fight? To which the answer is, I probably shouldn't quote Star Wars.
Also, sword, they have it in the game. They haven't released it yet, I don't think. That's the same samurai swords they have in at Wicklow, but I don't think it's usable, sadly.
How am I supposed to fight? To which the answer is, I probably shouldn't quote Star Wars, because Disney has lawyers. We've also got a new Volt weapon this month called the Zenith Sniper Rifle that, and let me read this text I have on the screen here from Zach, combines the raw punch of a charged sniper shot with the rapid-fire precision of a marksman rifle, which doesn't sound OP as heck at all, Zach. Now, there are some notes here about how loud it'll be and how important managing heat is, because if you don't, it becomes essentially inoperable, like me. And it's the latest in this year's line of Volt weapons, and like all the others before it, you can be the judge if its advantages are worth the trade-offs. Also, hangar respawning returns. Now, it's a small thing, but the ability to spawn directly into your personal hangar and get back into the fray should be a welcome one for anyone that's played the game for a while. Personal hangars are slowly becoming our first true homes in the verse, and this is yet another step in the right direction. Also another step in the right direction, spawning ground vehicles from the freight elevators, which is not coming in Alpha 4.3, but I've got a platform and I'm gonna use it to say everybody wants it, Benoit, and we're gonna find time to prioritize it for the schedule.
Please, everybody wants it. Everybody wants that, CIG. Please.
After more fixes in the next couple months first. Let's move on.
I'm not a fan of hangar spawning. I don't want to. I want to be forced to that. I wish I had my choice. The main purpose of that is because they've even said this, that this is the first step in them working their way towards, so that when you log out, you log back in where you were without logging, without going to like a bed and logging out. They want you to be able to come back in within reason. So that's them testing it out. So you think of it as an alpha. The whole concept of that is it's an alpha to design to make sure it can function. So yeah, it's a stepping stone on that direction.
On to virtual currencies. Now this year we introduced Wicklow, the collector, and his emporium of esoteric effects. Not the actual name. And over the last couple months, we've seen vehicles new and old get added to his inventory as variants with unique paints and components. And that's great. Or at least it was once we killed the RNG thing. Yay!
No more RNG!
But what about the various ship shops in the verse? Where's my Golem, the Fortune, the Guardians? Well, in Alpha 4.3, inventories are getting updated with many of the most recent ships that have been released. What this means is, while you can still pledge for ships to support the continuing development of Star Citizen, and you can still work for those fancy component variants of many with Wicklow, you should also be able to pursue the base versions of newer vehicles for AUEC, and in a more reasonable timetable from now on. It's our way of saying, yeah, we'll be better at this going forward.
Good.
It was Tyler Wicken's fault.
I don't doubt it.
And while we're talking about spaceships, starting back in May and continuing with each monthly patch after that, the Vehicle Experience team began the next wave of flight tuning adjustments for every ship in the verse, hitting most of the heavy and medium fighters and interceptor subclasses within. Now with Alpha 4.3, it's time for some light fighters to get their pass. This includes adjusting SCM and nav speeds to increase variation within the class, altering the linear and angular accelerations, adjusting health pools, and even swapping out some flight controller components. Now there's a whole list with details in the patch notes, but if you haven't flown your light fighter in a while, maybe give it a go this patch. And while we're talking about light fighters, what would a patch in 2025 be without brand new vehicles? And for August, we've got the long-awaited debut of the L-21 Wolf. It's sleek, it's slick.
There's the introduction.
It's kind of like a cool spaceship Rorschach test. See, some people see a fancy hot rod, some people see a Supermarine Spitfire, and some people like me see a Naboo Starfighter. But it's not. It's not. Disney. It's the newest light fighter from Krueger Intergalactic, a brand previously known for the Merlin and Archimedes, two ships who share the same names as characters in an old animated film about King Arthur from... Now you can learn more about it in our dedicated Behind the Ships episode, also available on YouTube, and the L-21 Wolf will be flyable as soon as Alpha 4.3 releases. And lastly, let's go ahead and touch on this month's big content drop, the new Onyx facilities. Now this is a big swing from our environment, level design, mission, sound, and every other team that's worked on them. And that's why I'm not going to say a whole lot. Everyone here really wants you to just get in there and experience them for yourselves. And don't forget, this is our first multi-part release of the year. So we'll open up that third and final wing eventually, and you'll find out what Dr. Yor and ASD has really been up to.
I cannot emphasize this enough. The Onyx facilities are some of the best additions to Star Citizen I have ever played. They fundamentally have nailed what a dungeon-like experience should be in Star Citizen, in the sense that it is in Star Citizen style and with the missions connected to the event itself. It's wonderful. I can't wait for you all to get your hands on it and play it, if you haven't already played it in the PTU, because it gets insane. It is very Half-Life, Prey, kind of Resident Evil almost at times. It's got a lot of different influences, which are cool. So
it's more than just worm torture, I can promise you that. Ultimately, this month, like this year, we'll continue to see Star Citizen pushing its development into lots of new directions. And quite frankly, some are going to work better than others. Some are going to take us a bit to figure out. And some are going to be some of the best and most interesting content we've ever released. Align and Mine, Stormbreaker, Onyx facilities. I just want to shout out all the work everyone on Dev is doing to keep this year interesting and to continue improving the existing gameplay systems along the way. And then, of course, the continued engagement with the project from you, who are coming back month after month in record numbers to see where we're going next.
Thank you, Jared.
And finally, if you are wondering why I'm at my desk, where I spend most of my day doing my other job behind the scenes that has little to do with ISC or SCL, there's this little thing called CitizenCon Direct coming up on October 11th, and the spaceship is currently locked down for the next 8 weeks filming for that. So be sure you check out the latest post on the Bar Citizen Global Watch Parties to find out where you can join our staff to watch it as it unfolds. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for listening to me yak about freight elevators for 5 minutes, and I was gonna do a joke here at the end where I pretend to push a button and the elevator takes me down beneath my desk, but considering the work that we still have ahead of us in fixing them proper, it would probably go a little something like this. I'll just say we know what's left
Baby Night Carrier, yes,
to do, and we're on it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
I love it. Joy toy. All right. So hopefully my audio isn't too rough here and there. I'll do my best to keep it up there. Overall, I think it's the right direction the CIG needs to take when it comes to talking to us. I will say as well, please try to illustrate the issues in an audio or video format before, because I know that CIG was working on freight elevators in July because there were statements that they said that they were working on them and they were going to be focusing on them July, August, and September. But most people didn't. And on top of that, there was no indication of, we know there are problems, we're releasing them anyways because we have to release it. Just keep that in mind. There are some bugs with this. No mention of that. They did that with 318, and that was an extreme case, but more warnings ahead of time that specifically say there are some issues. You may want to steer clear of this if you are sensitive to these things. Just in general, probably a good idea, especially even as the game gets more stable. There'll probably be some content that you want to highlight somewhere, just being like, hey, if you're squeamish, don't do this sort of thing. Even if it's just a nice heads up, you know? So overall, good conversation, good direction. I want to know your thoughts down below on all of these. And if you did enjoy this, remember, like the video, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. I do these on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you join us live with the chat who's going to lie to you and say this isn't live. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. All right. Sorry about that. I did see someone earlier pop in, House FOV. I do these things called capsules, which are just sort of like little sections of this that I do specifically to record for YouTube. So they have to be a little different. So being FOMO'd into a broken event was rough. I think a lot of people have problems with the one a time, like the only one time events, but fundamentally, I don't think they're that much of an issue. I think that's just how MMOs work. MMOs, live services have always had that sort of aspect to it, where you have to be there in order to enjoy the content that they release, because it's only to be there for a short period of time. But I think the more issue is that it was broken. Audio sounds like static buildup that grounds out eventually. Do you think that might be a cable issue? Because one of the things I have noticed is, like, I couldn't hear half of that. I'd watched it before, so I knew what he was talking about, but I couldn't hear half of that because it was breaking up on my end in terms of me listening to it. I know you could hear it, though. And I know the recording could hear it because I could see the levels in the audio. It wasn't crackling. So try jiggling your cords. Do I just need to get new cords, maybe? Because that could be an issue. What could we bring me back to Star Citizen when people tell me the game is so broken? I don't know, when the game's more fixed. But yeah, House, feel free to ask questions if you're new. Yeah, you said you're new. You said you had questions, so feel free. I can boost the gain up a little bit more, but it's saying I'm clipping hard on my Go XLR. Because I want to be able, you'll be able to hear me, but I also don't want you to hear everything in the background. Check connectors. I'm just gonna get new cables. Is the answer? Because it only happened when I moved to the new stream, new content, and it's only in the audio. So I think it's either my Go XLR Mini or it's the cables. So cables are cheaper to replace, and if it's still a problem, then I'll just replace the Mini. Got the game yesterday, and definitely can look past the bugs as an early development of the game. I was curious about the idea of wipe, and if I should get expected to there to be one, and also what gets wiped. We haven't had a wipe since 4.0. Did we have a wipe in 4.0? Yeah, we did, which was the beginning of this year. Typically, you can expect at least one a year, though sometimes we go up to 18 months without one. How do you think the Wolf will be compared to the Arrow? It's not an Arrow, it's a Gladius. It's the same size as the Gladius. Arrow is smaller. Do we lose everything we earn? It depends. Sometimes CIG wipes everything. Sometimes they wipe only UBC. Sometimes they wipe only ships or content. It's really up to CIG, the developers. I've been having like audio like issues. Like when we do Captain's Table, I can't hear sometimes what the guests are saying because it's like in my audio like preview, but everyone else can hear them, and it's not a Discord thing. It's just my audio because I also plays on YouTube videos sometimes. So. 4.0 is a partial wipe. Last wipe was 3.18. Okay. Yes, Anansi's got a good one. I don't recommend spending money on the game unless you want to support the development. Spend the $45, get everything else in game. So good way of putting it. Yeah, I thought 4.0 was a full as well. Maybe it was partial. Maybe there's some things that survived, like reputation. I don't know. Have you specified your output to your earbuds? Yes. Hey, hold on.
Citizen Kilroy just discovered the meaning of life.
Thank you so much, Kilroy, for that 42 months of support. You're a very important pupper. Very impressive, Mr. Any pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. That's the new one. No, it's for 42 months.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Captain_Fishty just resubscribed for 16 months.
Thank you so much, Captain Fishty, for that 60 months of support. You're a very important pupper, very impressive mister, very new pedestrian. This is your father who's on drinking night. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. It's definitely, for sure, audio, software, firmware, drivers on your end. Something the chain doesn't like to talk to each other. Maybe it's Go XLR. I don't know. It only happens frequently under high CPU load, but again, it doesn't affect or when I'm recording. When I'm recording live, when I'm streaming and recording, it tends to have that issue. But I don't know what else. That's fine, Max. Don't worry about it. The fact you're hanging out is fine. I don't use voice meter. I only use Go XLR. Maybe pray to the mechanosphere. Check the sampling quality on audio settings. That could be it, yeah.
Drinks all around. Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on, put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candle out.
Tilza just got a sub from Dry Khan. Dry Khan gifted a tier 1 sub to Tilza.
Thank you so much for that. Giving that stuff to tell us all. You're very important, puppy. Very impressive, Mr. Rainy Pedestrian. This is your fault. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. This is your fault. So my sample rate for audio is 48 kilohertz. The audio bit rate for streaming and recording is 320.
Drinks all around. Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on, put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candle out.
Victor Hall __ just got a sub from Dry Khan. Dry Khan gifted a tier 1 sub to Victor Hall __.
Thank you for giving that sub to Victor Hall there, Drycon. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive, Mr. Very Pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, yo. Shots and cheers. How goes my new PC? It's been having some issues. I've worked out most of those issues. It just comes down to my audio is now the big thing. Some recording settings are problematic. Like, I have AV1 natively built into the hardware of my video card, but every time I try to record my videos in AV1, it fails. And you can't stream to AV1 with AV1 to Twitch, so. What happens if I reach my sub goal? What is my sub goal? $600 points. I mean, if I reach my plus program to get me to 300, I will we'll do some giveaways and stuff like that. But I don't expect us to hit 300 or 600 points. That's just set up for more generic. It's my goal for the whole month. So. Are you taking your sick moves to the ATH watch party? I am. For those of you who don't know, I will be one of the MCs for the watch party here in Austin. And it's going to be me and Solus from Beyond the Verse. And we're going to be talking. We'll be doing some events, not just watching. We'll be doing some other things before and after, so we can, hang out and talk. So if you are in Texas and you're looking for a watch party, come on down. Back to topic. Why CIG always late to address issues with the community? It seems like they only do something when sales are flopping. I mean, I don't think sales are flopping. I think it's just a matter of time. The only reason why CIG addressed the issue when they did is probably because, generally speaking, we do every month, CIG does 2 videos.
I am token 23 just gifted 10 subs.
Thank you so much for I am token for that 20 for gifting 10 subs. You're very important, puppers. Very impressive, Mrs. Very pedestrians. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Thank you, buddy. Yeah. The prime, the actual like points goal is not gifted subs. You have to do other things. You have to do that's for the plus program. Basically, if I have 3 months in a row where I hit 300 points, then I unlock a 50-50 split with Twitch. So I get more money per sub compared to, or not 50-50, 70-30. Right now I have 60-40 because I consistently have over 100 subs, but I peak around 200. Right now, like last year or last month, I had like 887, and then Prime subs don't count for that. It's just the money. So. Because right now I have 80. You want me to do a giveaway? I can do a giveaway. House, C-Daddy literally works on the platforms. He works for Cloud Imperium Games, the company that makes the game. So, and he works on platforms. So he does a lot of the stuff in the background when you actually buy ships or buy content. He's the one who deals with a lot of that stuff on the back end. So he is a very trustworthy source, is what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't say doing 770K in a day is flopping. No, I don't think they're doing bad, as far as I know. Let me look at their. Let's actually look at their. Where are you? Star Citizen CCU game. Yep. All right. So for those of you who haven't seen this before, this is the CCU game. They do a funds tracker. So in July, when they released the latest event, they made 6 million. In July of last year, they made 4 million. So they made 2 million more than last year. They made 2 million more than July. And they made about the same. Nope, they made more than July 2022. So this last July was the best July they have ever had. And this last June was the second best June they ever had. And right now they're at 2 million in August, and they had 3 million, 3 million, and 5 million. So we'll see how well it does, but yeah, they've been doing great. They're on track to do better than any year they've ever done. Yeah. It's important to note that we're probably not going to get the Ironclad because they mentioned, I think it was they mentioned in the roadmap roundup, specifically control things. So not Perseus, Polaris, you mean? The May? Or are we talking about like the Polaris was the November? It was October, wasn't it? Only if they can keep the momentum. That's true. I'm sorry, Token. But yeah, this shows you every year of what they've made. So we know the total pledge, this doesn't include other investments they've had. The total pledge is $853 million. And that's over the course of 13 years. So if the assumption is that CIG only started to address the current issue because of funding, July was their best month ever. Or not their best month ever, their best July ever. So that's clearly not the case. And I've talked about a lot of folks. I've talked to a lot of folks who work at CIG. And the general vibe I've gotten from those folks is that they tend to not let the opinion of the community nor the marketing to try to drive their directions. Now, does that mean that marketing doesn't try to make as much fucking money as humanly possible? No, of course they do. And we asked that question at at Quantum Vegas to Sandy and to Tyler on stage. And they basically said, we are a company of 1,000 people and we are responsible for those 1,000 people and we need to pay them a paycheck. So we're going to do what we have to do to pay the bills. That's what they said. But there's also limits, you know? Combat ship niche? Well, it's a niche. The one we have right now is a niche one, yeah. Including selling gameplay. They do that. It's not something I like them to do. It's something I have critiqued for them in the past and will continue to critique for them if that's the case. But also I know CIG is a slow moving boat. We can scream and shout and you know, collectively rebel against CIG, and it will take them a month to actually change something. And even then, it'll probably be a small thing. It usually takes them 6 to 9 months to make systemic change that needs to be done. For instance, I personally would much rather every new ship that's released, that's for sale, be available in-game the same day as it's available for people who purchased it. However, it's just make it a rental. So people can rent it for up to 7 days with in-game cash. Because I think that's a good compromise. How about dynamic server meshing in POI and CIG? The real fixes. Any word on those recently? The June monthly report mentioned both that they need the dynamic server meshing for instancing and that dynamic server meshing is being worked on. We'll probably have an update on it with Benoit when they do that as Star Citizen Live. The better question, in my opinion, would be what ship would be the next month if you think there is one. There's going to be a ship every month. They have 7 ships in production that are in some state of being released or near being released, and there are 5 months left. So we're going to get a lot of those ships. We'll get at least a ship a month. I think we're going to get the salvage ship next month, or the Perseus. I think the Perseus is probably more likely the October release, so like CitizenCon. And then we'll get the Paladin, the Apollo, and the salvage ship, the RSI salvage ship. Some people think that we're going to get the salvage, the Apollo, the salvage ship, and the Perseus all in November, which is Invictus, or not Invictus, IAE. Their big sale in November, but we'll see. The Apollo was done. It's like it's going to be done in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. But I think they'll hold it for I keep saying Invictus, for IAE. Cool. Wish I could come to SitCon with y'all. It's too poor. It's not really CitizenCon. It's just a watch party, but a little advanced watch party is what it is. That's a good way of putting it. CIG is the Ever Given of ships. When they want to adjust course, they block the Suez Canal. Yeah, it is not a slow course when you have 1,000 people. Have we figured out what the weird shaped ship they previewed last CitizenCon? We don't, but me and X X and X's think tank have come to the idea that it might be a ground-based miner, which I like. I think that's probably it, but we'll see. Will medical be out with the Apollo, or the Apollo be without medical? Wouldn't it be, or will it be shelved? What do you mean medical? It's going to have medical, their medical bays. Yeah, that was one of the things they talked about specifically, was they were working on making the modules work and how they would work and how they look. So yeah, we're going to get a full-blown modular setup for Apollo. If you mean we're going to get the drone, no. Are we going to get new medical gameplay with the Apollo? No. We're going to get the same medical gameplay we have now, but with modules. Yeah, we're not getting medical drones. We're not getting T2. We are getting Tier 2, yes. We're getting Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 beds. 3 Tier 3 beds, or 2 Tier 2 beds, or 1 Tier 1 bed. A ground-based miner with veins, basically. The idea that you would land on the ground and then you would suck up the wonderful bounty of nature through the suction cup. Kind of like how the legs of the Pioneer are supposed to be like mining themselves. We have hand healing beams. When are we going to get ship-based medical beams? That would be fun, but I don't think we're going to get that. Wouldn't ground-based mining need to be the next Planet Tech drop? Yes, which could mean that the that silhouette of the funky silhouette, because they always do at least one concept ship a year. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the concept ship and we would get it when they have the next that feature is part of it. I don't think you would have ship-based medical beams, though. I think we would have something more like a ship pulse medical beam, or a medical pulse, where, like, if you're close to the ship, it sends out a pulse and heals you or something. Yeah, underground mining. Yeah, you scan the surface for ore deposits and you land and then you extract the underground vein. What we've called vein mining. Does that mean you're actually going around and pulling stuff? No, it's just data. But, you know, other ships, other games have done similar things. Yeah, it needs scanning. It needs scanning and it needs updates to the Planet Tech. Both of those are in development, though. So it's just a matter of when they come into the game. So if they released it as a concept ship and said it'll come out when we have these things, like within a year, I wouldn't be surprised if we had that. Basically, because CIG took this year and said, hold up, we ain't fucking releasing shit in terms of new features. Everything they were working on is still being worked on, but we're just not going to see it until next year. Yes, Genesis. Someone's going to do it, because you said the word.
Genesis? Genesis? Genesis?
I'd love if they had a planetary scan for resources like ME2 resources scanning to see where you fly to. I think that's the plan. I don't know if you're going to be able to do long-term scanning, long-range scanning, but you should be able to do like planetary scanning and then like whichever side you're facing and then go in deep, go in closer and get closer and scan more and find specifics. You might be able to like scan at a distance and know just generally what resources are available on a planet or moon. Yeah, it has a telescope. The Genesis, the Endeavor does. Genesis, can we name 5 new ships out of that? Well, we do have the Genesis Starliner. You're not going to see another mass leak. That mass leak was happening because of a security issue on CIG's side. I think they're beyond that problem. Tried an ASD facility, but then ended up with a bug of falling through the planet at Hurston when leaving the hospital doors to the street and can't get past it. That sounds weird. That may be reset your character so you can go to a different landing zone. You're just gunned down 30 meters in. They are hyper aggressive and they will kill you. I've managed to do it solo, but I got hurt every single time. You have to be very careful. You can't just run and gun. And I did it with 3 other people. I did all of them, all the facilities with 3 other people. It took about 2 hours to do so, to like explore the entirety of them. But yeah. Does CIG have a plan to development with AI? AGI coming soon? I'm gonna be real. The idea that AGI is coming soon is a pipe dream. I'll believe it when I see it. But there's nothing that's telling me that AGI is coming soon. And if AGI comes out, we have a lot more concerns than Star Citizen. Artificial general intelligence. There are 3 stages of artificial intelligence. Expert systems, AGI, and I forgot the last one. But it's like, I'm looking up. ASI. Thank you, T-Jack. So, expert systems, but they're specifically called artificial narrow intelligence, which is what we have now. ChatGPT is ANI. There's also things like machine learning is ANI. Fly-by-wire systems, any expert systems that were designed to do one thing, like a supercomputer that can do chess, that's an ANI. It's like it can do one thing really well, but it can't do a lot. AGI is a human level intelligence. It's basically when an AI has reached the human level of comprehension and like problem solving. And then you have ASI, which is where it becomes better than human, where you have something that is much higher intelligence than us. That's something we could never achieve. AKA Cortana from Halo. Cortana is an AGI, yes. Bordering on ASI. Fun fact, AGI exists in the universe of Star Citizen. It's existed for 800 years. But it's banned because every time it was used, a lot of people died. Not because the AI went full Skynet, but because it just fucked up. I haven't seen Alien Earth, no. I met some humans. My vacuum cleaner is more intelligent than. Yeah, it's true. It's okay, Bracer. That is actually a video I need to make for my lore videos. Is for those of you who are new, because I've seen a couple new faces here. Hi, I'm Paul. I do the Astropub, but I also do a channel called the Astro Historian, where I do lore of Star Citizen, but I've also done lore of Cyberpunk, Titanfall. I did another one, a couple of other ones. Oh, Helldivers and Star Citizen. I'm going to be doing one on Battletech at some point that I've been wanting to do. I'm going to do another complete history of the first year of the Galactic War with Helldivers 2. People have suggested me to go back into Titanfall to do some stuff, but we'll see. I tried to activate the auto dub and auto systems that YouTube has there, Bracer, but I don't know if they work or not. They may work for. I don't know if I did it in all my channels. I think I did it for the Astropub. Yeah. I didn't do Dune. No, I have never done Dune lore video. Scientist, hello, General AI. Please make as many washers as possible. General AI. Okay, hey, do you know if you're made of some kind of useful atoms for washers? You're made of some very useful atoms for washers. Scientist. Oh no, I know that problem. Yeah, where AGI, you tell it to do something and it uses the most logical, quick way possible, which is disassembling the entire universe to make washers. I did play Dune, yes. Actually watched the corporate lore videos from way back. I am doing a Hurston video that I need to actually finish, is my problem right now. But I'm going to try to sit down and actually record that tomorrow. Question, any chance of Star Citizen having a market tab in the Mobi? Something where we can at least see where we can buy gear without having to station hop? Actually, it's in the map. If you look in the map, if you look at the stations, it'll actually tell you what's available on each of those stations in terms of like what shops are available. And right now, all of the shops on stations are similar. I think there are some differences when it comes to ship weapons and ship equipment, but like all of the armor and weapons, I think, are like personal weapons are the same. So if you're looking for something specific, there is no app currently. I would actually, CIG is probably going to have that in the future, but just not yet. Oh, Arc L3 doesn't have a clinic? It doesn't even have a local map? Ooh, I didn't know that. And there aren't enough on them. Station and Nick L2 has no food. UEX is a good one, yes. It's a bit robotic, but French peoples could follow your channel and your guides. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's an AI dub, so it's not gonna sound perfect. Also, there's an In the Verse app. It's on Star Citizen Wiki. Yes, it is. And they also have the wiki, also the Star Citizen.tools. For those of you who want to know, StarCitizen.tools is a fantastic website. I am an editor there. I change and add some context for lore stuff, but it has, like, I'll pull it up right here. I've got it on the arrow up. So you see, like, on this page, it tells you all these specific things. It has, like, pledge, the universe, insurance, all that sort of thing. It has the lore. It has when it's developed, but it also goes find item in game, and you can use the universal item finder there. Or you can go to the official sites, Pledge Store, Galactopedia. It's got the UIF. It's got the DPS calendar calculator, Starship 42, Fleet Yard, CCU game, SP Viewer, you know, all of these sorts of things. So you can also go to the other sites. Plus, it's got all of the paints and what they look like. It's got official screenshots. It's got in-game screenshots done by users. It has development history, trivia. It's a lot of stuff. And you can also get into related pages. It has all of the Anvil products. You can also look at all of the vehicles in game. So it's pretty good. But Genie does not have a gun shop, no. But it's also listed on the map, on, like, the universe map. Do you think we'll get larger ships from Krueger? Yes. I think of the Nubian style. I think so. Yes. I think we'll get a medium or large or both fighter. And then I would think we're probably going to get at least a medium utility ship, like a Freelancer, Spirit, Cutlass, some sort of in that range. Now we're going to talk about I'm going to get some water and we're going to talk about the rest of that here in a moment. Question, sorry, another, it's fine. If we earn a ship from Wicklow, does that ship stay permanent on my account? It does not have LTI. It should stay on your account until there's a wipe. But it is not like you purchase the ship. No. Would love something the Wolf would fit into. Oh, in terms of, like, transport? I don't think it's going to happen. You'll get your Liberator when they're done with everything else. Honestly, Velocity, I know you love that thing, but the Liberator needs a fucking rework. It needs a complete overhaul. That thing needs bed for the crew. It also needs beds for the passengers. Right now, it's just sort of a flying box, and it needs a little bit more complexity to it. Yeah, I'm gonna get some water. Oh. I will say what Krueger needs is Krueger needs a vehicle, or needs enough vehicles to fill out a showroom, because Krueger is in Castra, and we all know Castra is coming up soon, so they need ships to put in that showroom. Be right back.
Genesis. Genesis. Genesis.
Weapons free, y'all.
Genesis. 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 Barcelona.
I love democracy.
Drugs.
All right. Fun buttons coming off.
Barcelona. Barcelona.
All right. The door opening breaks my immersion. All right. I'm just going to go straight into it. Audio be damned. All right. Office tour #win. Oh, for my office? I mean, this isn't real. I need to clean up severely. You don't want to see my office. It is a mess. It's a mess of wires. I'm never showing you my office. I'll just say that. I've got like wires everywhere in terms of like power cables. All right. Let's get started. Oh, welcome back. It's good to see you. It's been a bit. A couple days maybe. But you're looking good. You sleeping good? Talk with your mom? Your dad? Your significant other? All good? Hope things are good. What am I doing? I'm not stalling. What are you talking about? Capsule. That's right. This is a capsule, an office hours section, a little bit of my office hours live stream, where I talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific or 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you join us and chat right here where we're live. And yeah, so today we're going to be talking specifically about the roadmap roundup that was released on August 13th, 2025. This may come out a little bit later than than it should, but I do think it's a good context for what's happening in development, so you can get a little bit of understanding about what's coming out in 4.3, which should be out by the time this is released, and also 4.3.1 and going forward. So with that, let's get started with the roadmap roundup from August 13th, 2025. So 4.3 has committed to sniper rifle, sniper light armor Geist, Wicklow light combat suit, stealth suit, ASD light combat stealth suit, new hairstyles, dynamic snow, ladder improvements, Onyx facilities, Wicklow special ships, and Volt sniper. Also, the Krueger L-21 Wolf, implementing the light fighter Crew L-21 Wolf, a classic built in the 30th century. This card has been set to committed. Okay, so that's what we know for 4.3. Now, 4.3.1, NPC dropships. Introducing dropships in Pyro, defending outposts and deploying reinforcements when local population is attacked. This is interesting because this is something that they did. With earlier patches, which never worked. So it'll be interesting to see if they function properly in 4.3.1. But it's been set to tentative. If anything, I have a feeling that that's probably going to slip off of 4.3.1 because they have also been testing new NPC behavior, or at least we're planning on doing so in their Evocati. What were they called? Tech preview tests, I believe, and I think they're planning on doing a couple more tech previews in the near future. So it's probably connected to that. Heavy utility armor. Adding a new heavy utility armor. All right. Medium utility armor, Ambrose. This card has been postponed to a later date. So this one has been postponed entirely. This was supposed to be on 4.3.1, and it's been postponed even further. AI FPS turrets. Adding anti-FPS turrets for players to avoid or destroy, providing additional PvE challenges. This has also been postponed. Mission pickup on location, enabling new mission to be discovered and added to journals when approaching or entering a designated area. That has also been postponed to a later date. So AI FPS turrets, the medium utility armor, and the mission pickup on location have all been delayed past 4.3.1. Maybe 4.4, maybe never. Who knows? New hairstyles, 4.3.1. This one's card sent to tentative. And then we've got the Volt LMG, light machine gun, Fresnel. Introducing Volt's heavy hitter, a machine gun that ramps up the punishment as it heats up, trading rate of fire for raw stopping power as it nears its peak overheat. It unleashes searing energy blasts capable of tearing through hostile forces with terrifying efficiency, featuring a hefty reload time but with a high capacity magazine. So it's tentative. All right, so that's all we know for 4.3.1. It's the LMG, it's the heavy utility armor, and the dropships. 3 things. Now, we also know that CIG has planned for the second set of the Onyx facilities to possibly be released in 4.3.1. Not guaranteed, though. Keep in mind, this is going to be a release in September, so probably going to be light in general for 4.3.1 because October is their CitizenCon patch, and if anything heavy will come out in October or November or December. These last 3 months of the year tend to be the bigger patches that CIG likes to release. So, now, with that all being said, we've got the progress tracker. We've made a few additions to the progress tracker, which you can review below. Just reminder, when progress on a deliverable is marked as complete, it doesn't necessarily mean it's ready for release. It may still require downstream support, transition to another team for further work, or other additional steps before completion. So, as we're looking through the progress tracker, here's the thing that we need to understand. The progress tracker is not really reliable. It is sort of pointless. CIG seems to not really want to update it anymore, but they still kind of do. And they only probably do it every 6 months. Because what you see on the progress tracker isn't them finishing something, and even if they have stuff to work on, they may release something while still having things to work on with that thing. So like Engineering could say take 6 months. I haven't looked at it because of this. It could say engineering work is now stretched out till March of next year. Does that mean it's going to release in March? No. Does that mean it's delayed till March? No. It could still release earlier than that and just has more work to do on this sprint. So it's pretty useless if you're trying to judge when something's coming out. The only thing you can really judge it on is what are CIG working on. So that's what I'm looking at this as what is CIG actively working on? We know a lot of this stuff has already been in the monthly reports as well, which is a better judgment of what they're working month to month, but sometimes things don't make it into the monthly report. So what is the progress tracker? Engineering, crafting, FPS, and radar. Those are the 3 things that are most likely to make it this year. Still possibly not, but those are the 3 things that are almost certainly coming in next when it comes to features. Once they get outside of this sort of, we're just adding new content. Redacted creature. We know that there is a creature that's coming out. Inventory rework. We know that's going to take a little bit longer. They are starting to work on it now, but it's likely going to take, my guess is, a year. They said it won't even be out by the end of next year, by the beginning of next year, so it'll be a while. Item expiry, enabling functionality for items such as key cards to now have an expiry timer after which they're rendered non-functional. This is key because it's likely tying to tier 2 of the gear retrieval program, the persistence, which is something they need to do a lot. But when they add that, the other thing, the important thing to remember is that when they add tier 2 to gear retrieval, to gear persistence, that means they're getting away of the backspace. Backspace is going to be gone when that happens. So it's clear that item expiry is connected to that. So transport refactor. This is what the transit system refactor was originally called, and now it's called the transport refactor. Refactor of the existing transit system to allow for an easier design setup, easier integration into instance content like hangars, and more robust functionality in server meshed environments. That system has been worked on since the beginning of this year and is likely not going to be finished until the end of this year, but it has been actively worked on in the monthly reports. And lastly, the Drake the command module, introducing the concept of vehicles taking over control from other host ships, primarily used for ships like the Drake Caterpillar. This means 2 things. 1, we're likely not going to get the Ironclad this year, because if it's just being added to the progress tracker, even if it was being worked on back in like April, it's going to take a little bit longer. This, combined with the fact that the Ironclad is still in white box, means we're not getting the white box. We're not getting the Ironclad this year. I'm sorry to keep twisting that knife for y'all, but we're not getting it this year. But it also means that on the positive side, we're going to have more than just the Caterpillar and the Ironclad with this functionality. CIG is going to start making ships with this functionality because they don't like doing bespoke additions. If they're doing this as a system, they're going to add other ships that have this system attached to it. So keep that in mind. Or possibly even add this. This is just complete speculation, not at all anything crazy, like anything like legitimate. So take it as pure speculation on my part. It could also mean a system for hackers to remotely take over a ship using the hacking gameplay, so that you can remotely control a ship away from that ship or from another part inside the ship at some point. I don't know. That's speculation on my part, but all I know is that CIG doesn't like doing just one system. So we'll see. Well, a bit of a shorter one, but I wanted to take a look at it because I saw a lot of stuff being moved out of this and the progress tracker updates, which are also always important for that context. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, we take a look at Star Citizen's lore, news, and more every Thursday. And if you like this, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on anything we just talked about, and make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. I'd love to see you come in on Thursday, twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live. But like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. Do we get a key fob to unlock and lock our doors? That is something that they talked about, even at Quantum Vegas, that they plan on doing. So, they want to do. All right, Ryan. I'm going to wrap this up here shortly, too. I just want to get that recording done. So, no endeavor to relive my Mass Effect Migrant Fleet nostalgia. That's going to happen. It's just not going to happen until after 1.0 goes live. You know, I'll totally look at the keys for an hour with them in my pocket. You're not going to have a key fob. It's going to be on your Moby. The Starliner, yeah, the Genesis Starliner. The Genesis system should be in before that. What's insane, I saw someone talk about this earlier, where they mentioned that there's like 220 ships, or 215 ships, and I have 215 ships and vehicles. I have 215 ships and vehicles, the 195 are in game. So it's like 20 vehicles and ships that are left. And of those are like the Pioneer, the Orion, the Arastra, the Kraken, the Javelin, the like half of them are huge ships. The Liberator, yeah. Or large to huge ships. Then you also have but then you also have a bunch of other ships like the Paladin, gonna be in game soon. The Perseus in game soon, the Apollo in game soon. So like a lot of those that are on that list are coming in this year. So sure hope the year of playability sets the table for more promised features. Well, we'll see. I mean, engineering and crafting and FPS radar scanning are the ones that we need more in the game faster, but we'll see. For the future, the S is silent in the LNG. It's like a camera lens, the Fresnel lens. Ah, okay. I'm calling it the Fresnel. It will forever be called the Fresnel. I'm going to dumb American Texan it. If Wicklow is the one making the Icties, how did Jorrit get them for his labs? Jorrit get them for his labs. I think you're asking too many questions, but it's likely not a Wicklow specialo. Wicklow specialo. Haha. It's not a Wick special. It's just a Banu thing. And you're gonna look me in the eye and tell me that Jorrit doesn't peruse fine Banu wares? You're asking the question of where he gets his Icties, but then ignore all of the where is he getting his test subjects from? No, I haven't gotten shit, man. I haven't gotten a single referral in like 2 years. Nobody uses my referral code because I don't push my referral code. People call me a fucking shill, but it's like if I was a shill, I'd be using my referral code all over the place. Look at the referral. I also don't make content that's really geared towards new players. I have 0 citizens recruited. You have to get 50 recruits for the other one, so yeah.
Do you want a chance?
Thank you so much for that raid there, Axis. How you doing, buddy? Welcome everyone from Axis Stream. My name is Paul, Berserker1, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. I was going to say something before it got raided. Oh yeah, why are people thinking that they could have fit the damn thing in their Carrack? Unless Genuine Raptor is the same person who was talking about it earlier. I've heard like 2 or 3 people mention they thought that you could get into their Carrack. I'm like, what? It's the size of a Gladius. No, you didn't read it at a bad time. I just, I was literally about to reference something when you rated it, and I was like, oh, that's fine. I'm wrapping it up here anyways. You also got a Redeemer without a referral, Paul. It's insane. Not that I wanted it. I do want the Dunlevy, the Aegis Gladius Dunlevy. Only because it is super lore heavy. Those of you who don't know, the Dunlevy is in honor of the Captain Alexandria Dunlevy, who formed Squadron 42. So it's a Gladius with the original Squadron 42 colors on it, which is kind of badass. No, I was just hoping for it. I don't know where people were hoping, why people were hoping for it. Yeah, they updated the PTU. Including the wolf. Wolf's working great. Okay, because the Wolf was having a lot of issues earlier. I think they fixed it. All right. Hey, Sandy. I just started watching ISC. Deep breath, deep breath. We did a full response to it. I don't usually record my responses for that, but I did, only because I think it was a good video. I do think that Jared's doing a bit of gaslighting in that, which I called out, because it's gaslighting. To try to pretend that they didn't know that there was a problem with those specific elevators is insane. Because all of us knew there were problems with the outpost elevators for a year. And them saying, well, it didn't happen until we went under load. It's like, in that case, it could take tens of thousands. I'm like, bullshit. Absolute, utter bullshit. Those things were broken all the time. Even recently broken all the time. Like, they knew there were issues. Someone QA had to have known. Like, we complained about it all. We all actively avoided it. Their fucking data should show that. Nobody did those fucking outpost missions in terms of like the cargo missions because we knew they didn't work. And every time I tested them to see if they worked in a new patch, they were broken. They fixed some of the cargo elevators. The one that was constantly broken was Orbit. Orbit was always broken. And they knew that. Because I know they watched Burks and Mike, and both of them have done Orbit with them watching it while it was broken. This is just my take, based off of what I know about CIG. No one was fucking working on them. They didn't have the resources to work on them. They just had one or two people maintain them and sort of try to fix them as best they could, but it was not the focus because it just wasn't their main priority. They only made it their priority in July, and when they started making their priority in July, they probably fixed a couple things here and there, but didn't see much because by that time, nobody was doing the fucking runs. And so if they were working for the handful of new people who were doing them because they didn't know they were broken. So they just assumed, oh, it must be a volume issue, and moved on. Not realizing that it's a consistent breakage issue. Like, this is something I personally have complained about a lot. I know a lot of people have complained about it. Like, the data should show you this is the problem. If, and I mean a big if, CIG were to announce something at CitizenCon that we've had no idea about up till now, what announcement would you want to hear the most within reason? Because I already know a lot of stuff. The exact release date of Squadron, like the day they're planning on releasing it, not the like year, the month, or the day. Can finally fly the Wolf. I upgraded my starter ship. Dang thing got me. Just looks sexy. We'll use it as a quick call ship to get from A to B most likely. Yeah. Funny enough, you say that, Moo, but literally we did the worm on Sunday and they worked. In fact, it was such a problem that the elevators were working that we abandoned, we turned our back to the teeth after we'd killed it, and a rat had snuck in and stole all our teeth and sent them down an elevator before we realized they were there. Because we didn't know elevators were working, so we tested an elevator out, and when we found out it worked, but we went back to go collect more, and they'd already been stolen. We thought they were broken. We thought they were like despawned, but then we found a rat running around. It was like, they must have stolen it. That they were working on a third game. I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on a third game, honestly, because the person who would be, the rumor has always been that it was Tony Zervik's game, and it was using the same engine, and Tony is no longer actively, well, he's still involved in CIG and still works at CIG, but he's not an active, like, there every day sort of thing. You got to remember, too, though, that's the reason why they're not going to talk about it, is that working on something and actively developing something are not the same thing. So if, like, Tony is working on it with a handful of people at CIG who are sort of part-timers or are, they work on their free time or they work on it as on the side, when they're, like, other things are going on, that's sort of like developing a concept and working something out. They will never, if they are working on a third game, they will never talk about it until Squadron's out. Once Squadron's out and it's been out for a while, they'll talk about it. Work on it with what money and resources? The money and resources they get from CIG. Like for Star Citizen. Once you've given your money to CIG, they will do what they want with it. There are probably a mountain of things that CIG have built for Star Citizen, which we will never see because they were broken or didn't work. Also, CIG registered a new game title. Yeah, Soul Singer. That's a while back, but yeah. That's true. You didn't give them money for work on anything. You gave them money for Star Citizen and Squadron 42. As long as they deliver them, then that's what the whole idea. Given that we know about the release of 1.0, what's likely the next big thing for Alpha 5.0? We're not getting a 5.0. There is no 5.0 after 4.0. There is no 5.0. There's no 6.0. It is going to be 4.0 and then beta. I do not think that CIG can go from 4.0 to live. I don't think that's possible. I think they're going to reach a point where they have everything they need in for 1.0, and they're going to test the shit out of it for 6 months to a year and really work on it to improve aspects of it as they go along and then release it. Once you have release 1.0, then they'll go release 1.1, 1.2, and so on and so forth. CIG can't count to 5. They're better than not counting to 3. Like a year of playability, perchance? Yeah. But that's less of a year of playability and more of a year of optimization and balance. We're never going to 5.0, y'all. Like, they'll stop talking about alpha and they'll start talking about beta once they have all 5 systems in. The over-under when we get Nyx is November 15th. Your thoughts? I think it's March of next year. I think we get a preview maybe around November, but I don't think we're going to get Nyx this year. There's not enough movement and discussion on Nyx from CIG side for there to be a release. Though I do believe that CIG is going to move on Nyx faster than they moved on Pyro. Which isn't saying much because it took them 5 years to get Pyro out. Even if you remove COVID from that calculation, it's still like 3-4 years to get Pyro out. Speaking of Nyx, do you think the new Levski will be mostly like it was or something much bigger? They've talked about it. It's going to be mostly like it was with some new additions, but it will be bigger in terms of the borehole is now going to have actual docks attached to them. March 2026, yeah. Sorry, Sirius. It's just I don't have faith in CIG right now, considering how gun shy they are with new features. Because without scanning, we don't get Nyx. And not even that, without dynamic server meshing, we don't get Nyx. CIG is trying to get dynamic server meshing in before they get Nyx, because it's just a cost-cutting measure. They have 10 servers per shard right now, and they only have 600 people per shard, which means that they're operating at a 40% loss compared to, or 40% less efficient than they were last year. Because last year it was 100 people per server. Now on average it's lower because it's 600 people for 10 servers. So until they can up those numbers to back to where they were before server meshing, where they can get 1,000 people in a shard with 10 servers and also have Nyx, then, you know, they'll also have Nyx, then they're wasting too much money. So they need dynamic in order to save them money in the long term. So we haven't heard any movement on server meshing, dynamic server meshing, which means we're probably not going to see Nyx anytime soon until we have that locked down. I do think when we see dynamic server meshing, we'll see Nyx. Do you think Soul Singer will be the third game if it existed? Probably. It's always important to remember with video games, there are far more games that have been in development and failed than there have been released games. It is a miracle any game has ever released. And I'm not even just talking about like single solo developers who started and quit. I'm talking about like full-blown AAA titles. There are a ton of them that have been abandoned. Sorry, Sirius. It's just I am very hesitant to believe CIG is going to do anything feature-based or content-based outside of what we have now until we see otherwise. How awesome would Skyrim and Star Engine be? I can see pretty good. I've said that the Star Engine would make a fantastic game engine for a large open world game like a Wild West game or a medieval game where the travel is significant, but you can use the tools to add more points of interest dynamically. How far can they really push 4.0? 4.25? Yeah, 4.99. But it's important to remember that CIG is likely shooting for a 1.0 release in 2027 or 2028. Internally, I should say. Because they still need a lot of gameplay features in, which they haven't even started. Because they need to get engineering, crafting, FPS and radar and scanning, the new control surfaces, quantum travel, Maelstrom. All of these 6 need to be done before they can fully do hacking, exploration, bounty hunting, and fully finish out salvaging, because you also have to have like refining, all that sort of stuff. Base building, yeah. It's just a fuck ton. Those 6 things are required for everything else to happen, and they're not finished yet. That doesn't mean they aren't being worked on, or that they're in a state that could be finished in the next 6 months to a year. It just means that they're not done yet. And so they can't really work on those other things until they have those in. Question is, would Star Citizen hold back Squadron 42 or otherwise? Nope. I've said this many times before. I think people often overestimate this. Squadron 42 is not slowing down Star Citizen. Star Citizen is not slowing down Squadron 42. Because the thing that's slowing down Star Citizen is the fact that it is server meshed. Server meshing has to be accounted for with everything. So there's a lot of stuff that's finished in Squadron that's being ported over to Star Citizen, but it needs to then go through a process of being adapted for server meshing. So if anything, Squadron's speeding up the process. It's just once it hits Star Citizen, it slows down because they have to kind of rework it. I don't understand what's the blocker for simple hacking. You have to be able to control the doors. Right now, there's no way to control individual doors or individual systems without engineering. Engineering is the overlay that's being used to be able to control individual systems, power, heat. The resource system is in, but the control and flow of those things isn't in until engineering. So hacking means engineering to work. Like, we know that engineering consoles can actually open and close doors and lock doors remotely. So effectively what hacking is gaining access to those systems and then taking them over. It's not anything crazy, it's just engineering, but hostile engineering. A lot of stuff is simply CIG reusing assets. Like scanning for FPS and scanning for ships is the same thing. Radar scanning for FPS is the same thing in ships. So has the social system come this year or not? Absolutely not. When we saw it at CitizenCon, it was a bunch of it was a PowerPoint presentation. We have seen some movement on it, them working on it, but it has not been a priority. I highly doubt we will see it this year. What's engineering working on? Engineering. UI stuff. They're working on it right now. They're actively working on engineering, crafting, FPS radar and scanning, ship scanning, hacking. They also work on hacking, but they're also actively working on base building. They're working on new inventory system. They're actively working on control surfaces. They're actively working on the quantum drive. They're actively working on the Vulcan stuff. So there's a lot of stuff they're actively working on, but actively working on and finished are not the same thing. And even when they're done, they sometimes have to then go to this to be incorporated into the game itself. And some of the stuff is already incorporated into the game, and they've been adding to it every time they add new things. They just turn them off inside the game. If you could pick one and only one sci-fi franchise to port into an MMO with Star Citizen scale, what would it be? Babylon 5. Babylon 5 has effectively jump gates with its warp gates. It has a good combination of like a lot of interesting different various ships, a lot of different alien species. It has a variety of storylines they could tell through, weaponry, all sorts of stuff. Babylon 5 is, I would say it's Destiny, but not I'm not going to say that. It's bad. I'm going to say it. I'm going to be controversial. It's Destiny, but not shit. It's what Destiny wanted to be. It's a great example of merging of hardcore sci-fi elements and sci-fantasy elements and merging them together. It's Lord of the Rings, but it's also got a fucking Dyson sphere and fighters which were designed to function as if they were in zero-G environments, and rotating parts of ships so that you can have artificial gravity, but also you have Space Sauron. In a game of consequences, scanning needs real costs. Everyone running around pinging each other on the ground will be goofy. I already detest the triangles over remaining enemies' heads. I miss bunkers where you could actually had to clear the bunker and you could be surprised. I miss those as well, and I do think that they will measure that. I think the FPS scanning is going to be both a power drain and also when you scan, you ping, it also, like a sonar, other people can hear that ping so they can know where you are as well. They've even talked about having that. So, and I think limiting it to specific armor sets will also help. And not like it's a combat armor, it gets a ping. Like, no. It needs to be like a specialized armor or a specialized utilitarian slot you have to add in. Yeah, not sure why there's such little movement on social tools, org tools, etc. My guess is everything tied to accounts is the foo bar there. It just probably resources. The people who are working on that are working on other things. The people who like did their demonstration of the social tools are all people who are working on like engineering and Genesis and scanning and ships and server meshing. Like the people who, every single person who did the presentation at CitizenCon for that are all people who are the heads of other departments, which are actively worked on. So it just doesn't have the resources. The answer is, the question is, why isn't X being done, or what's the status of X, is if it's not being talked about, it's not being worked on. And if it's not being worked on, it's either because there's not enough people to work on it, or there's some required technology for it to be done. The simplest answer. I can't wait for proper suit lockers and stuff to encourage shirt sleeve environment for our multi-crew ships. Yeah, we need engineering for that. As usual, why? Because fuck you, that's why. Sure, it feels like that sometimes, but usually it's somewhere along the lines of scarcity is a bitch. In other words, throw money at the problem. The Mythical Man month. You can't throw the money at a problem, make it go away. Would like a reputation overhaul with the social tools, and that's probably a big ask. It is, since CIG is also at least the writers have been talked about how they're trying to get away from negative reputation, which is like, fuck you. You need to add negative reputation, otherwise there's no consequences to the fucking actions. It sounds to me like engineering is the next big blocker. It is, but it's not really a blocker in the sense that it's like blocking other things. It is, because other things need it in order to be worked on. But from what I can gather, engineering would have been released in like March if they had stuck to their original plan. But the more they've worked on it, the better they've gotten the UI, and they've sort of streamlined a lot of it, which is why they want to do a test for it. But we haven't heard jack and or shit about its test. Starware is actively being worked on. It's in the game, but it's only partially in the game. So some things are Starware, some things aren't, which is why you can put on 2 helmets sometimes, as I discovered. All right, I'm about 30 minutes past what I was supposed to be. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, y'all. Thank you for watching. I will be back tomorrow with Loken. I have no idea what me and Loken are going to be playing. I may drag them into Helldivers, but I don't know if we'll play. Maybe Star Citizen. If Star Citizen's releases it by the time I get back, we'll do that, but we'll see. Saturday, we've got a good topic for the Captain's Table. It's going to be talking about exploration gameplay. I'm trying to gather people together to play, but I haven't gotten anybody, so I may have to tap some people on the shoulder and get them to come in. So, and then Sunday, we've got a League Expedition, which we're going to be doing the Onyx facilities. We're going to be splitting into teams of 4 to 5 and do the Onyx facilities. And lastly, Monday, I've got my Zero to Hero, which I'm going back to do that. I do stream on Mondays at 7 p.m. My time, so 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. But yeah. Depending on the time, Tomato's back in the States. It'll be super early in the morning for Tomato. Well, 1 p.m. for Tomato, so not super early. But I don't think Tomato's can be ready by then. He'll probably be ready for our discussion on ships, but we'll see about that. Oh yeah, Battlefield. I forgot. Logan and I did talk about doing Battlefield on Friday. So we're doing Battlefield. We'll be doing Battlefield 6 tomorrow. So you can see I am a very old Battlefield player, and I'm sure some of my fellow old veterans are here. I remember the days of Battlefield 2. I didn't do 1942, but I did Battlefield 2, and my favorite Battlefield is still 2142. Surprise, the sci-fi guy likes the sci-fi Battlefield. But, yeah. Have I thought about getting Even Lease on the stream? Yeah, I don't think I've been able to talk with them, though. Oh. All right, y'all. I'm going to send you over to Liquid. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday